I would say there is, but the fundamental problem is that what he's saying is observable is not... So, observable in the sense that he's using... okay. Observable in the sense that he's using means you can visually watch it. And from a scientific standpoint, that's not right. Observable means you can make note of it, you can do other things, you can make educated guesses from evidence. So just because I can't... Let's say I put a cat in an airtight box, and I know eventually it'll suffocate to death. You know, if it stops moving, I shake it.
Yeah, but that's not the kind of evidence that he's asking. You know, he's asking for a specific evidence. He's asking for the Darwinian, theory, because I like to call it a theory. It's not a fact. It's a theory.
Well,
the Darwinian
scientific theories are considered fact.
Well, it's not a fact if you can prove it.
You can.
Okay. Give me a sample of one kind of change of species.
Just
one sample.
One example of a change in species. Species or kinds.
The species or kind.
Okay,
well see, here's the thing, okay? Here's the problem that I see, and the huge problem is that a lot of people, they believe that we're coming from the monkeys, right?
Not quite true, but close enough.
That's what a lot of that's what evolution means. That we evolved from something. We evolved from the fish. That we evolved from the star. Well, no, that's a whole different point. That we evolved from something else. From something else. Okay. For thousands of years, well, not thousands because this just a couple hundred years since Darwin, but for a couple hundred years, there is no evidence of what Darwin was trying to prove. And actually, Darwin said, if nobody can show proofs of what I'm telling you in 100 years, just discard it and move on to something else.
Okay, but
didn't he say that?
He might have.
Yes. Okay.
But you can look in the fossil record and you can see different transitional fossils. You can see the gradual change from certain dinosaurs turning into birds, for example.
Okay. Are you talking that as a fact, or what you studied in the school?
It's.
Do you know Lucy?
Lucy?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know that in the New York in the Museum of New York, the Natural History Museum of New York, they have this what is it? Homo sapien? No, it's not a
Homo sapien.
Homo sapien. It's not a Homo sapien, but it's
Homo erectus,
some kind of it's some kind. Actually, what happened is they found a bone, and out of a bone, they came up with this huge theory that it was actually the missing link. Well,
Lucy is more than just a bone. It's quite a few.
Well, Lucy is just a bone. And out of this bone, this little bone like this big, they came out with the whole skeleton. Out of one little bone like this big. So that's not even true. If you look into what they really found, was just a bone like this big that belongs to this part of the bone, this part of the body. And out of this little bone, they created a whole skeleton. Where they got it from? Imagination. There is a guy in the video that says how they got Lucy and how they came up with Lucy.
I watched the video. I did not see that.
Well, there is another video. You probably see what happens is when you're trying to prove a theory, you have to look at both sides. I have studied both sides. Okay. I never been an atheist before. Are you guys atheists?
Yes.
All three of you?
Yes.
Okay. I never been an atheist before. Okay. So actually, what I had to do is I had to step on the other side of the fence and try to understand from an atheist perspective. I see videos of Darwin, this guy Cross, whatever his name is, and many different guys that actually believe in evolution, believe in the Big Bang and all that, right?
Right, sure.
Have you ever seen the other side?
Yeah.
Could you be wrong at everything that you know?
Oh, of course I could.
Okay.
Could you?
No.
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 Okay. Well, I would say that that's a very negative
idea to have because you have now just stated that you're refusing to accept that you could be wrong.
No, the thing is, in order for somebody to tell you, well, okay, let me just make a little illustration here, okay? The person, I'm in the corner, okay? I'm in that corner right there, and I see an accident. Boom! This accident just happened. I was a witness. I saw everything that happened.
Sure.
Okay, but if the police comes and they ask somebody else, that just heard about the accident, and the police says, you know what, could you be wrong about everything that you're telling me about the accident? He says, well, I could be wrong because I wasn't there, right? Yeah. Okay. When we believe, you can put it right there. You can put it right there. That's okay. When you believe on the Creator, I believe in God. I believe God Creator, you, and me. Okay. I believe He is the ultimate Creator of everything. When you have a book like this book, okay, that tells you where we came from. And not only where we came from, he tells you how He made us.
There are other books that tell you the same thing.
Which books?
Well,
the Quran doesn't say. Quran doesn't say where we came from. Quran doesn't say. In the Quran, Allah doesn't claim to be the Creator. In the Quran, The Quran doesn't explain to you how we came to be.
The Quran has its own version of the Garden of Eden. Yes, it does.
It doesn't have the Quran. What it is a cheap version of the Bible. That's what it is. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
The Quran, the Bible talks about the Quran, right? The Quran says that the Bible is true. Okay. Therefore,
parts of the Bible are true.
No, the Quran says
parts.
Well, see what happens
it has
is
things that are directly contradictory.
Exactly. But if you have a book that is 2,000 years old, and you have a book that came out 600 years after this book, which one is the original?
Probably the one that came first, but that doesn't necessarily make either one right. Right.
But in this book, in the Bible, okay, the Quran claims that the Bible is right. Okay? And the Quran teaches that the Bible, and I mean, we're going in that whole different, I have studied the Quran as well. The Quran teaches that the Bible is true. The Quran teaches that Jesus came. The Quran teaches about Jesus things that are not in the Bible. Okay? But the Quran says the Bible is true. The Bible says the Quran is not true because everything the Quran talks about the Bible is not accurate. So therefore, the book that has the truth is the Bible.
Okay, but
okay. Well, we move
a little bit. The fundamental problem with that, I think, is that you're assuming because let's just call the Quran the cheap ripoff. The original has a cheap ripoff. Well, the cheap ripoff is garbage and nobody likes it. That doesn't make the original factually correct. That it was still written by humans, which makes it entirely fallible.
Yeah, but it's inspired by God. We believe
this is. Can you prove that?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Of course. Okay, look, the Bible. The original scripts of the Bible. You can still go. Not the really original ones, but there is the ones, the more ancient ones.
The Dead Sea Scrolls?
The Dead Sea is the one they found in 1926, something like that. Those are the confirmation that this was true.
Okay.
But the original ones are actually,
the first three
Alexandria in Egypt, the big library, the big library of Alexandria. Okay. They are the ones who translated everything from the Greek and the Hebrew. No, I'm sorry. They translated everything from the Hebrew to the Greek.
Right.
You can still find all those books.
Okay.
But not only that.
And what
let me
those...
just finish my point.
Okay.
You have in this book. This is a book that is written for 1,500 years.
Okay.
Okay? In a period of 1,500 years. And it's written for over 40 authors, 40 different people, 40 different writers.
Sure.
And like 3 or 4 different continents. What are the chances that they're all talking about the same thing without contradicting each other?
You mean ones where those would have been available?
Was that?
Ones where that original book would have been available.
Well, are you familiar with the Bible? Have you ever
Fairly,
read the Bible?
yes, fairly.
Okay. If you go through the Old Testament, we have the first 5 books. Okay.
Sure.
On the first 5 books of the Bible, we have Genesis, and then we go through Exodus, we go through Leviticus, which is that. After Leviticus, we go to Numbers, and after Numbers, we have Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
These 5 books are written by one author only, which is Moses. Okay?
Yeah.
Moses wrote these 5 books. Okay?
Sure.
And these 5 books contain the Torah, which is the Jewish law. All right?
Yes.
And then we have Joshua, written by Joshua. And then we have other books. There is 40 different people that wrote this book. What are the chances that 40 different people in 4 different continents are writing about something else? Like you're writing something here. I'm from Guatemala. Somebody else is writing something in Guatemala. You guys don't know each other, but boom, you guys are talking about the same thing. It's got to be something, inspired by somebody else, right?
And if you look at a lot of the pagan religions that were around at the time before Judaism and then eventually Christianity started to cement in the areas, in the starting areas of, I imagine it would be Jerusalem. I could be wrong.
There was a lot of pagan religions back then.
And the point that I was going to make about that is they have very similar stories about, like, for example, the Garden of Eden, and they have similar figures to Jesus that are different, obviously, but they're very similar. One could argue that that the stories here were inspired by those.
Okay, can you mention one of those pagan religions that you mentioned?
I could try. I would have to look it up to be
Well,
specific.
please do so,
Please.
because the only pagan religion I know is the Roman Catholic Church. And you have to remember that Jesus Christ, when he died, after Jesus Christ, the Christians were persecuted for almost 300 years until Constantine came to the scene. But you look for it, and we're going to look through your points. So what I was telling is no observable evidence. Science, in order to be science, it has to be observable.
Okay, but
Keep on looking there. I'm gonna just because you.
Well,
because you made a
I have
point.
a severe problem with how you're using observable, because from a scientific standpoint, yes, that is absolutely true. But it's like when you use theory in regular day term, a theory scientifically has been tried and tested over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's been peer reviewed. It's gone through a crap ton of work. And that's a theory. So they're very highly regarded. It's not just a theory every day where it's like, oh, I have an idea. That would be a hypothesis if it's testable and meets other criteria. So same thing with observable. Normally that just means, I can watch it or hear it or something. From a scientific standpoint, it's not necessarily the same. Looking at fossil records, if we can see transitions, that would be observation.
Yeah, but how can you, how can you look at a fossil record and come up with a conclusion of this was 60 billion years ago? That's very inaccurate. It's inaccurate.
There's testing to find that out.
You know that I don't know if you know about this the Genesis Museum in Missouri, I think it is. I can't remember where exactly it is. They took a fossil, right? They took one part of the fossil to one lab and one part of the fossil to a different lab. One said it was 1 million, the other one said like it was 7 or 8 million years old. Okay. They were laughing at him. They said, you know what, there's no way. If you tell me 1 million and 1.5 million, I can take it. It's like, it's close. When you're talking millions, 500,000 is nothing. 1 million is nothing. But when you're talking 1 million to 8 million, it's a huge difference. So there is no way to test billions.
Let's say that our assumptions are off by even 1 billion years. That means we could still have things. Maybe not 1 billion. That might be excessive for life on Earth. But let's say 100 million years.
According to them, the Earth is billions of years old.
But life on Earth hasn't been around for nearly that long. how many millions of years? Billion? I forgot. It's not nearly as long as the first one.
4 points.
That is when that's
You know, see, and I believe according to what the Bible tells me that the man existence has only been 6,000 years.
And I disagree.
Well,
we have societies that we know are older than that.
Well, there is no way. There is no way that they can prove it. You know, you know that for something to be fossilized, it only takes 100 years. For something to be fossilized, sometimes it doesn't even have 100. It doesn't take 100 years. It could take 10 years. Have you studied the mummies of Guanajuato in Mexico?
No.
Well, you should look into it.
Okay.
There are some mummies. This is amazing. Okay.
Yeah, but we also have carbon dating that makes it way easier to tell how old something is.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not accurate. You know,
evidence of pagan influence in Christianity.
You know, the mummies of Guanajuato. It only takes 5 years to get you know, for people to turn into a mummy, a fossil. 5 years.
And that's specifically they're mummified.
They're mummified in 5 years.
So,
and people have this idea that to be a mummified you have to actually go through a process. You have to, you know, they have to actually do all this preparation of the body, and it takes thousands of years, like all these Egypt kings, you know.
Okay.
You know, and that was a myth. We can go to Guanajuato and see the people turn into mummies in 5 years.
Okay.
That's because the minerals and everything that it isn't on the ground, you know, makes the body dry up, and you know, somebody just because you find a fossil doesn't mean that it's millions of years old. It could be 100 years old.
Sure, but
right?
we have carbon dating only works up to I think 20,000 years to be accurate. Then you have to use other dating methods. They're not quite as reliable as you showed with your example. Yeah, they come with differences, but when you try it over and over again, you generally come to a fairly consistent answer.
You know that in the I was watching the History Channel the other day. They found soft tissue on a fossil that it was supposed to be a couple billions of years old.
That was frozen though.
I don't know if it was frozen. I don't think it was frozen. But even if it was frozen, soft tissue is not supposed to. You're not supposed to find soft tissue on the couple billion of years fossil.
If
right?
it's frozen in the right conditions, you could.
Well, they said no. The people there, the scientific that was there, they said, well, maybe we have to rethink the whole thing. You know?
Maybe.
But
sure.
but then that drops everything that they thought as a fact for how many years? You know, is that fair for the people that, you know, you see, you guys are pretty smart kids, right? You guys are studying something, and you guys have it in your head.
Sure.
Okay? You guys have it in your head, you go for it all the way, boom, 100%, trying to prove, well, whatever. But I will imagine, I study my Bible 100%. I will imagine that you study your you know,
reasonably so.
Your research, you give your 100% to what you believe. No?
It's not. Me being an atheist, although I do believe it's true, what I think is true, I do believe it's accurate, it's not a significant enough part of my life for me to dedicate that much energy.
Okay. To me,
I do have what I would consider a fairly strong understanding of it.
Okay. Okay. See, what happens if you grow on that thinking for 30 years, and then after 30 years they say, oh, you know what? Everything that we thought for 30 years, man, we put it in the trash, man. We found something else.
Then
what happens then?
I will look into the evidence, because that's a significant change in point of view. It's
right.
harder to do.
Right.
But I would look into the evidence, and if that turns out to be what I consider to be true, then I would probably accept it.
Okay.
And what if I could, in some way, prove to you that a God didn't exist? There's some magical piece of evidence that just abstractly does prove that a God doesn't exist.
Would that change your mind?
You know what? If the problem is, here's the situation, okay? I know God exists because I have seen it in my life. I have experienced. If you guys have never experienced God, man, I have.
How was your experience? My
experience is my daughter was ran by a car. Okay. And at the moment she was taken to the hospital, she was taken by the helicopter to Loma Linda, and she was seriously the chances of her surviving right there and then at the scene, it was like maybe 5%. She was totally out.
The doctors tell you that, or was
No,
that
the
just
paramedics
you?
said. I heard them talking, and they said she won't probably make it to the hospital. Can you believe a little kid like that being hit? My daughter was a little smaller than that, and this 16-year-old lady that had no experience was speeding on the street, and boom, cut her. Her forehead was open like this because she hit the bumper, and she flew like 15 feet up in the air. Okay, she landed on her back and had a fractured skull. Okay. The chances for her to survive was very, very little. Very little. Okay? So anyways, we, I said, Lord, you know what? You gave it to me. You take it if you want to. You know, she belongs to you, you know. But if it's your will to give it, to let her live, just, you know, let it be your will. So we ran to the hospital. The situation was pretty bad. We couldn't sleep that night.
Right.
Obviously. Next morning, we kept on praying, you know. And next morning at 10 o'clock, she wakes up. She stands up, and she's running on the hallway. The doctor said we couldn't understand it.
Okay.
You know, to me, that was a miracle. Okay.
That's
To me,
God, though.
was that?
That's not proof God, though.
Well,
Let me-
let me just because
that
those are the remarks that I had in my life, the experiences that I have with God. Now, how do you prove God? Okay, it's pretty simple. You know, I believe in a creator that claims that he created everything. Okay, if you see that picture right there, you know, you can immediately say, or that building right there, you can immediately say that it was built by somebody.
Sure.
Okay, so if you see creation, it's got to be a creator. For me, there is no doubt.
Okay, but
Please don't tell me that all this came out of an explosion.
Yeah,
The
sure.
Big Bang.
At the very, very beginning, sure.
Really?
Why not?
You believe that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. What happens when somebody explodes? When something explodes?
When something explodes, it scatters everywhere.
It scatters
a
everywhere?
massive amount of
And
mass
and there is
everywhere.
and there is destruction, right? Or there is creation out of explosion.
Well, you can't destroy something when there's nothing there to begin with. You see, the fundamental problem with saying that it's destruction and stuff is the laws of physics bend when you have really, really extreme circumstances. Like, for example, you can't go faster than the speed of light, but it's like, well, what if I'm at the speed of light and then I, walk forward on like some sort of craft? No, it won't work.
Right.
So they become malleable. And especially considering I can't think of any event more extreme than the Big Bang, The laws of physics are very malleable at that point, and it's been theorized that they didn't necessarily exist in the same way they do now before that. Mm-hmm. It's such a massive amount. So from that explosion, matter is created, more or less. And then it spreads out, and eventually gravity brings it together, it creates galaxies, stars, all that.
Wow, so out of one explosion, everything happens.
Sure.
See, even if that was something to consider,
Sure.
there is way too many problems with that. Okay,
Such
why
as?
is that? Planet Earth is the only one. Is the only planet that has all this, oxygen. We can live in it.
The only
we have
one
water.
we know of.
Well,
Yeah, we haven't checked all of them. Not
well,
even nearly.
you know
There's
what?
so
Be
many
realistic. People are trying to spend millions of dollars to go to Mars, and there is no possible way that people can live in Mars.
Yeah, there is.
There is-
It just takes a lot of effort.
We need to-
No, think about this.
We need to-
There's frozen water on the pole of Mars, meaning we can get that water and we can melt it and drink it, right? So if we can get there, it's difficult, but I think space travel is inevitability because we can get there, then we can bring plants, we can start creating oxygen, habitable environments.
It's too cold.
We would have to
how can you grow plants when the planet goes way below zero? No, I don't know how many degrees below zero at night.
And that's part of the problem, is that you're going
there's
to
some
need
plants can-
significant insulation and heating.
Some
Well,
plants can actually survive that.
you know what? It's. I mean, people want to imagine that it's possible. It's impossible. You know, it's impossible
then
because
the
you need
death
way
of the
too, you
human-
need way too much sources to live. Okay,
When humans are destined to die if
then
we don't go to
the-
another planet.
what's that?
We
Eventually,
cannot expand.
humans will die eventually if we don't go to another planet. Like, we'll be completely wiped out by the sun once it gets
Yeah,
big.
because you know why?
Why?
Because we are self-destructive species. We are self-destructive. This is a
Well, the sun-
timing bomb.
The sun's
We're
going to
just-
destroy us.
Well, why is the sun going to destroy us?
We're getting
Because
just-
it's going to inevitably go through the process that suns do, where it's going to expand and explode.
Yeah, that and the fact that we're slowly getting closer to it, just a little bit every year.
Really? Well, you know what? It's very easy for me to sit down, think, go back 100 years ago, and it's very simple to see what we have done with this earth. Okay, we have destroyed this planet. Okay, we're spending millions and billions of dollars trying to get a little glass of water from Mars when we can all work to make this planet, work. But we're going out of the subject.
Okay.
No observable evidence. Okay. For science to be in order to be science, it has to be observable.
And I've already.
If it's not observable, then you can't prove it. How can you prove that people or animals devolve into a different thing when you don't have proof?
into a different species?
Yeah.
Well, we can prove that. We've actually manually done that.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have with the
Well,
what kind of fish are they called?
I-
That was given
stickleback?
as an example.
The stickleback?
The stickleback fish, yeah.
Oh, stickleback.
Well, actually, no, we didn't do that. That was naturally. It was one type of fish.
Mm-hmm.
They got separated over a fairly long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
They became distinctly different species.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And what did they become?
Fish.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's not a change of species.
That is.
Oh, so
That's
are you?
just-
That is a change of species.
No,
that's
that's
what a
not.
species is.
Well, see, what happens is if you have tigers, okay, and cats, they're just different type of cats, but they're still in the
no,
same
they're
family.
different species.
But they're still in the same family.
Sure.
Right?
So
Yeah,
you're
make
looking
it
for
easy.
like a fish to turn into like a dog or something else?
No, not into a dog because I don't believe
Into
they
something
turn into a
similar.
dog. No, into a fish.
It's something
We-
different, but
have you guys thought that we coming from fish?
something similar.
We
Yes.
have
Something similar.
ancestors with it
What do you guys
eventually.
believe? Because I like to understand what you guys believe.
I believe what I at least consider to be the generally accepted scientific model, which would be life started at some point, not known for sure, with very simple single-celled organisms. Eventually, they evolved to become multi-celled organisms until they become rudimentary fish, similar things. We eventually turned in the common ancestor. Eventually turned into an amphibian, started to get onto land, where inevitably that turned into, not inevitably, but eventually that turned into a mammal, the basics for mammals that came from it.
Okay,
And
so
then birds after that.
okay, so basically you're telling me that we came from fish.
Sure.
Just simplify it to that.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you seen?
Here's the thing. It's not that simple. It's
Well,
very
no,
nuanced.
but you were able to explain it to me in less than a minute. So
Sure.
I can just simplify it. We came from fish, right?
You simplifying it in a minute is like the TLDR.
Okay, yeah,
Saying
but
we come from fish is
we don't have 10 hours to
Sure,
sit down and just
okay.
talk about. But basically, what you're telling me is that we're coming from fish,
Yes.
Right?
Over millions of
over
years.
billions
Yes.
of years ago. Okay, do you believe the same thing?
I was talking to Jose.
Do you believe what I said?
Yeah.
Do you guys all three of you guys agree on the same thing? Okay. Because I need to be more clear. Now, let me ask you, your parents, what do your parents believe? And it's probably irrelevant, but I just want to get to know you guys a little more.
My grandma and grandpa are Christians. My mom, I think, is Christian.
You don't know?
She's very ambiguous.
Okay. All right. What about you?
My mom was a Christian, and now she just doesn't really like have any side. She doesn't take part in anything.
So, but when it comes to the point where she has to choose, she chooses to be a Christian. Well, let's say she says, okay, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm a atheist, I'm a Christian.
I'd say she's more of an atheist than a Christian.
Okay. And you, I already know your parents are Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are Catholics.
Okay.
Okay, I'm coming from a very religious family. Okay, you guys know the Pope. The
Sure.
Pope John Paul II, the Benedict 16, whatever.
Sure.
I can care less for those guys. Okay,
Agreed.
it's just religion. Religion is, I believe, is the worst enemy of humans. Okay,
But you're religious.
I'm not religious. I have a relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's not being a religious.
You can play word games.
The problem is that the people that don't know. Okay, religious is when you do something by tradition. Religious is when you do things like you go to the temple every year, and you go to this church and you bow down to all these idols and stuff. This is being religious.
Don't you bow to your
No,
God?
I don't.
You don't? Do you
No.
pray?
I do pray, but I don't.
You're
yeah,
worshiping your God.
Are worshiping my God? Exactly. I'm talking to
And
my
they're
God.
worshiping their God.
Yeah.
Well, they're not gods.
Well, to you,
Well, because-
from their perspective,
No,
you're not.
from their
yours
perspective,
isn't
they're
a
not
God.
gods.
What?
Do you guys?
From
you-
my
do-
perspective, there isn't a God. From their perspective,
Exactly. That's why
their
I'm
God.
trying to do a remark. Do your parents, when they pray to the Guadalupe Virgin, are they praying to a God or to the Guadalupe?
Guadalupe.
See, they're not praying to a different gods. The Christians, the Catholics, they believe in one God.
okay. What about
Right.
other religions that do pray specifically to gods?
You have the Hindus. They believe everything is God.
There are
You have
actually millions upon millions of different variants of religions.
What?
Yes.
Millions?
Yeah, different subsects of religion.
You know what? I can almost describe every single religion. I probably missed a few of them, but there is
Sure.
no millions of religions. The Catholic
Major
Church-
religions, no, but there are, consider
Okay,
almost every tribe has their own version of a religion.
Yeah, they pray to like the weather gods.
Well-
the sun god.
It's different variations,
But it's not. They're not.
Let's just say
they're not
thousands.
religious. There is no thousands.
No, not thousands.
I'm sorry.
So
there is no
not
thousands. I'll tell you why. My ancestors are Mayans.
Okay.
Okay, and they used to pray to the god of rice, to the god of the rain, to the god of the moon. You know, they did have a bunch of gods, but they
Right.
were pagans. Okay, they were pagans.
But that's
I'm going to tell you why.
That's just a broad term. Like the way you're using it, it's just a broad term that says, oh, well, they're not a specific high religion that you're like, they're pagans. They're
Well,
not.
it
they're
is a
different
pagan
religions.
religion.
They're just-
Okay, since the moment that they sacrifice babies to somebody is pagan.
Mhm.
You should not sacrifice babies,
I can't agree more.
right? Okay, at least we're on the same page. So somebody that sacrifices, like my ancestors, like Mayans, they used to sacrifice virgins. You know, little teenagers. They had to be virgins. And they used to sacrifice. That's a pagan religion. Did you find what you were looking for?
A list of religions? Yeah, there's a
Well,
lot.
but you were looking before. ¿Qué onda, Omar? You were looking before for.
Find what? What do you want me to
¿Cómo
look
estás,
for?
man? Estamos en una entrevista, me tienen una entrevista aquí ahorita. Ajá.
Go control F and type in pagan?
No, espérate. Que,
No.
Hola.
No, I found
How
some.
are you?
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
yeah, I don't think you're gonna find thousands of. I don't think you're gonna find that many. There is like the Catholic Church. They believe there is thousands of sects. Okay,
Alright, so number
but
1,
there's
5, 7, 8, and 9. Those are all relevant.
Only
Yes.
That looks different.
Find it
But
through it.
anyways, God.
Okay.
Let me just read something that says over here in the Bible, so you can have an idea of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But anyways,
It's a 5, 9, 11, 12, and 13. Then. Or they're relevant ones.
do you remember when the Bible, not the Bible, when people started to believe that the earth was round?
What?
When people started to believe that the earth was round?
Because it is.
Okay, but when did they notice it?
My understanding was that it was before Galileo, but he was the most dominant member.
Well, I was taught in a school that Christopher Columbus is the one that confirmed it. Back in 1500s, whatever.
Yeah, that would be the first
Publication.
demonstrable test that you... I mean, because we could take inferences from saying, well, other planets are round, why wouldn't ours be, right? Because you could see that they were round. That's
Well,
what
but you
Galileo
can see
noted.
that they're round.
Yeah, you can. You can tell
Well-
from the shadows. You can tell that they have curvature.
Okay, well, Galileo said, because a lot of religions said, was Galileo alive?
Look it up.
No, well, you know what? It's only.
I don't remember.
It's only maybe Galileo is Greek,
500,
so we're
no?
talking
500.
500-600 years ago. It's not more than that. The Bible tells you 3,500 years ago the Bible is round. The earth is round.
Where does it say that?
It's in Job and Isaiah.
Is that a
Please.
Is that a
please
more
show me.
recent version of it?
No, just
No.
Please show me.
You can go to any Bible and look at it.
The original Bible?
Yeah, the original Bible.
All right, what's up?
I'm not sure. There do a study something from the university.
So, right here, I found an article. It's talking about the point I had made earlier. We kind of got sidetracked, but that there's influence from pagan religions on Christianity. In the Greco-Roman world, from where Christianity later flourished, the most dominant cult in 1000 BC of a savior nailed upon a crucifix, that also of the pagan fertility god Osiris Dinius.
Can you say that again?
Mysterious?
100 BC or AC?
1000 BC.
1000 BC.
Yes.
Okay, who is that? Who is that religion?
Uh,
What's that
Los
religion?
católicos.
No.
It's the
Some
pagan.
Oh, ellos son
That's
ateos.
It was the most dominant cult.
¿Quieren que lo ayuden algo? ¿Usted?
I don't think it says specifically which side.
No, sí, Mauricio, yo si quieres te ayudo con
No,
algo.
espérate, que estamos discutiendo algo
But
ahorita.
it
Es que en
has-
historia te van a ametrallar.
No, tranquilo. 40-22.
So the
May I
Bible
share
took
something with
inspiration
you
from...
guys?
Osiris Dionysus, who suffered persecution, died, and then rose again from the dead. Only was it until the late 5th century that genuine portrayals of Jesus on a crucifix were found. As before this time, however, artifacts had all but depicted Jesus as the fish or the shepherd, but never on a cross.
Okay, so I wonder, because it's kind of confusing what you're saying. You know that the Romans are the ones that came up with the crucifixion. And 1,000 years before the Romans, there's no way that somebody could be talking about crucifixion. So I wonder.
Or the Romans could have taken it from that.
No, the Romans it's a fact that the Romans are the ones that invented crucifixion. So I wonder, you know,
Yeah,
the sources.
the cross was the punished thing from the Romans.
But yes,
No,
they
Greek,
did
Greek
use it.
people too.
Okay,
Greek
let's
people
see.
do that thing. But the only difference between
Would you read this right here real quick?
Who created crucifixion? Let's see.
Would you read that real quick? Number 22, that's Isaiah. That's the Old Testament. We're talking Old Testament.
Okay. It is he who sits...
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in.
So in this verse, it's not only telling you that the earth is round, it's telling you that he's stretching out the space.
Well, circles are not round, actually.
Well,
They're
he's telling you that
it's
he's
a two-dimensional.
stretching,
Can you read that
that
one
he's
more time?
stretching the.
I didn't realize what it was for. I want to listen to it again. No,
Well, circles are two-dimensional shapes.
Well,
shut up and read it again.
draw me a circle.
It's a two-dimensional.
Shut up and read it. Read it
It's a
again.
two-dimensional shape. That can be flat.
No, Ken, he's
is-
talking about a circle. Go ahead.
It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and his inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, and then spreads them out like a tent to dwell in.
He's saying that he's stretching heavens. Okay? And he's telling you right there in the Bible, 15 years before Christ, that God is stretching out the heavens and the earth is a circle.
So,
Can you draw a
Is
three-dimensional
there-
circle?
is there no
No,
way?
let's not go there. It's
Shut
a
up.
circle.
Is there no way
Let me give you another
that
one.
maybe that doesn't actually mean that, and that it just
What
happens?
do you understand by this verse?
What I understand by that? Let me read it one more time.
It's a verse 22.
Okay. Verse 22. Is he who sits above the circle of earth?
Hola, ¿cómo está? Mucho gusto. Muy bien, gracias. Yo creo que me queda uno en el camión o por algún lado me queda uno.
¿Les puedo compartir algo? ¿Ustedes son
The
ateos?
circle of the earth.
Sí, ahorita lo digo.
Antes de hablar
It is
de
he who
algo,
sits
tiene
above
que
the
decirles
circle of the
algo
earth.
diferente.
There is no
The
above
model
if
of
it's
the
around.
the model of the earth at the time was that it was circular and flat. He sits above the circle of the earth. So could that not be misinterpreted?
That's a good point. You
It's
got
a
a good point
sphere.
because
Thank
when somebody reads it, that's the first thing that they come up with. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you exactly why he's not talking about a circle. Okay,
Okay.
it's
Well, if it's a sphere, he can't be above it.
okay. We'll see.
Josh.
Yo,
There is no above if it's a...
Alex.
Yes, super technicalities.
Alex.
Hello, guys.
bye, Gorda.
How old are you first?
19?
Do-
Tengo que ir a Walmart a comprar algo para la comida y no
Oh,
cargo efectivo.
beautiful. Okay. This is okay. He going to do the translate. I try to help you and you understand.
Just stay as best I can.
I mean, what is the meaning? Ateos. Okay.
Because
X. Sorry, I don't speak too much English, but I study a lot of.
He used to be a Buddhist, by the way.
I grew up with China people
Okay.
in the temple.
Chinese people.
I practice Buddhist. I grew up with Catholic. I practice Christianity here in America because in my country I grew up Catholic. Catholic include Hinduism and Hinduism and Buddhist.
Okay.
Okay. In general, my question for you guys. ¿Por qué definen ser ateos? ¿Ustedes por qué?
Why do you guys call yourself atheists?
Because I do not believe that there is a God.
Que apaguen la televisión. Dale.
Porque no creen que hay un Dios.
Ok. Ahora viene le voy a decir les voy a decir te voy a hacer un share de lo que me dijo mi maestro cuando tenía 6 años. Un maestro, un tibetano.
He's
¿Okay?
going to tell me something that happened when he was 6 years old that his teacher told him.
My sifu, he's a monk, and he told us the first thing when we have 6 years old. You know, we are atoms. Nosotros somos átomos.
Sure.
¿No es cierto? Sure? Science proves that.
Yes, we are atoms.
Okay. Y cada átomo es independiente.
Each atom is independent.
Right?
Yes. Well,
No, yes.
Did you
Yes.
attract it?
Leave.
Sure.
Yes,
We'll see.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see one atom under your feet?
I don't have microscopic eyes.
no.
No. But pretend, forget everything about electronics and everything about science and everything you can prove because actually we prove because we touch, right? And we prove this one because we touch,
Bájale volumen.
right?
Sure.
We've seen atoms, though.
Okay. So forget about electronics. You don't see and you don't feel and you don't touch
No.
the atom. Why you believe?
Well,
We just see
you-
atoms.
yeah,
Because
we
there's
touch.
well, yeah, I can feel atoms. There we go.
No,
I can feel
pero
them.
you don't see and he don't see. El átomo que está abajo del pie, él ni siquiera lo va a conocer jamás.
that you're never gonna see the
Y jamás vas a
atoms
ver
on the bottom of your feet.
y jamás vas a ver cómo se mueve y
Or
cómo
shoes,
piensa.
as we meant.
Yep, okay.
Y jamás vas a ver cómo piensa y cómo se mueve y cómo
You're
vive.
never gonna know how it thinks and how it moves.
Can I ask a question? Why do you want us? Why do you want us to throw away technology in order to prove something?
¿Cómo dijo en español?
¿Por qué quieres que tiramos la tecnología?
No, because we are a human. Pretend we don't have nothing around you.
But why would I do
Because
that?
because if you say about you don't believe in God, it's because it's something you don't know, you don't touch, you can prove, right?
Sure, I can't prove it.
Exactly. I start about ourselves.
We can prove that we have atoms.
So wait.
Exactly.
You're saying, okay, finish your point. I'm sorry.
If you don't have electronic, if you don't have micro things for proof, you have atoms in your system. How you can be? How you say I believe I have atoms in my body?
If we didn't have the technology,
Exactly.
then we wouldn't.
No. But
If we didn't have the technology, we wouldn't know them.
That's why is my point. If you wanna know someday about God, it's because one day you have to feel Him. Because it's an invisible area. It's one part.
It's an invisible area.
See, it is other dimension. It's part of like that's why I give you the example about the atom.
Right.
You don't feel, you don't touch, you don't understand how the atom live in your system,
Yeah, we
and
do.
it's in your
They
system
form each other into organisms.
Yeah, we have.
because science say that, but you don't know.
It's been proven.
Science
We've been
teach you
able
that.
to look at them.
That's right. The science teach you that
So-
and prove that.
I've
So you're telling me that the community of millions and millions and millions of scientists that have all verified this are lying to me because
No, they're not liars.
then
Remember one phrase. Any ningún científico inventa algo, solo lo descubre, ya está hecho.
scientists can't make anything; they just discover.
that's
Well, we're not talking about
true.
making anything.
Okay,
Okay.
And now we
I
can't
give
make
you,
any
I
stuff.
share you, I give you, I share things when I have 6 years old, and my seafood told me, the Chinese guys told me.
Sure.
For I think, I have to start to think by myself. No believe because somebody told me. No because the internet told me. You have to feel and prove by yourself if something you receive is true.
And we did.
No, and I agree with you guys. I agree with you because the point is this one. You never prove if God exists if you don't start to do the first step to recognize something like that. Why we are blind to wanna be in that way is because actually our humanity in this time, la vida ahorita como está, los electrónicos, la ciencia, son 5 cosas que los rich people han creado, se han esforzado por muchos años para crear idiotas.
Okay.
No estoy diciendo que ustedes son idiotas,
No.
¿ok? Pero
Everything that has been created, like laptops and everything, technology, that has been created by rich people, so they can make stupid people, so they can make more
sí,
money.
robots, 5 things, 5 items.
So everything was created
So-
for.
Sí, on purpose.
Everything.
Okay, but what about
5 things.
Wait.
He's saying
Okay.
Estás cagando todo, man.
No, claro.
What about medical vaccines? They were
Perfect.
created and given for free.
I agree with you. That's why I told you first. 5 items rich people create for every day the humanity abandon the spiritual area.
What did
They
I do?
do on purpose.
What?
And then
Humanity abandoned spiritual areas.
There are 5 things. created so that
disconnected.
people-
Disconnected.
They disconnected.
Sure.
Disconnected, okay? Education.
I,
La,
I'm gonna need a
la
second.
historia,
Shut up, man.
la,
Mira.
espera, la educación de ahora está creada
He doesn't know what he's
para
doing.
confundir a la gente.
did I?
He's saying-
I'm misunderstanding this, right?
I just don't know where he's going with it.
No, le estoy explicando para que entiendan
Es que-
que ellos no van a entender algo espiritual si no
He
empiezan
said
por ellos
education
mismos.
was created to
mira,
deceive
espérate.
people.
Look, read
What?
this.
A lot of education was originally created to spread the word of God.
No
You know what?
necessary.
That's the last
What is a
lesson.
pastor?
But a lot of it was.
Wait, a pastor educates people about God. He's the
That's
education.
education.
No,
No
let me tell you
necessary.
something. With
No
him,
ne-
you're going the wrong way because he believes in many different things. But just read this right here.
Lo que estoy tratando de decir a
like that
ustedes
first
es que hay cosas
Hold on.
que ustedes jamás van a
Right there.
descubrir
I have it in Spanish.
si no se
I'll
ponen las
read that
pilas
right there.
en querer saber que eso existe. Y te di el ejemplo del átomo que está en tu cuerpo. Si no existiría nada de lo electrónico a tu alrededor, tú jamás vas a ver cómo funcionas.
Bueno,
No puedes saber cómo funciona.
Bueno, ¿cómo dice? Como toda tecnología, como
Estoy de
es algo
acuerdo
específico,
con eso.
como algo electrónico. Electrónico,
So
porque
basically, this is
podemos mirar
3,500
como
years old.
a
Okay, and
los
this
organismos
is-
que están en nuestro cuerpo
is
Claro.
confirmed
con algo que no
that
necesita baterías ni nada.
the Earth was
Correcto.
so-
Pero
No,
tienes-
no le puedo mirar ahí, sí.
Correcto, pero la persona que
No, nothing is holding it from the bottom or top. Do you guys remember? Have you guys seen the Greeks? The Greeks, they used to believe that there was this God holding the earth and he's holding it like this.
Yeah, that was.
Right. I'm not sorry. No, my English is not very good, too, but
I
you know
don't
that
remember it either.
they used to believe that. The Hindus used to believe that the earth was on top of a elephant, and every time the elephant used to walk, well, we're talking ancient people are talking.
That would cause earthquakes.
Right, correct. That was way before. That's way before when. That's way before when technology, thousands of years ago. You know, because the Hindus have been for a long time as well. So they used to believe the Hindus used to believe that the earth was on top of an elephant. That's why they have an elephant as a god. I don't know if you guys noticed that in India.
Sure.
So anyways, and every time the elephant will walk, that's why we had earthquakes. That's why we know. That's why I know that. That's why I know that this is true, because according to what you wrote in your head, you have an understanding of what's this clearly teaching, right?
I think it's honestly too ambiguous to say that it's predicting that the world is round.
Well, what about somebody? Well, we're talking about Job. You know, if you guys don't know Job, Job. We're talking about 6,000 years ago. Okay, 6,000 years ago, you will ask somebody something, they don't know anything. All they know is just throw, rocks and kill animals to eat. And this guy is already talking about.
This is extremely ambiguous. In his mind, it could just be that it's flat, circular, and just magically being held up.
But you know what? How can somebody that ancient can be saying something like that? That God is stretching the heavens, the space, and the earth is nothing is holding it from the bottom, nothing is holding it from the top. Telling you in his poor lexicon, telling you, you know what? Gravity. He couldn't say gravity. They didn't know these big words. You know, that's like an Indian. That's like an Indian coming and making a draw, and you get, oh, that's what you're trying to say. They don't know. You know, these people are so way back that. It was very hard. You don't see people talking about dinosaurs as a dinosaur on the Bible, okay? Because dinosaurs, that word dinosaurs came what?
Millions and millions.
No, but the name dinosaur, it just came out in the 1800s, the 1820 something. Is when they start calling the dinosaurs dinosaurs. You want to see where the Bible talks about dinosaurs? You want me to show you proofs of that?
Sure, we'll see.
You know, it's impossible to believe that this book is wrong. It's written
mean,
30. It's you know what? It's 35 years. If you study it and you say, you know, with an open mind, and you start, you know that God says that God created Adam and Eve out of clay, out of the dirt.
Yeah.
Do you know what are you made out of?
Depends what you mean by that.
Well, we
Stardust.
have the 7 elements that the earth does. We have the 7 elements that the earth does.
Let's say I'm made of things that I eat, things that I breathe.
Well, we have iron.
Mostly hydrogen.
Yeah, sure.
We have water,
Yes.
right? We have, I'm sorry, I can't remember. But if you look into it, you will see that the human body has the 7 elements that the earth, the same elements that the earth has.
Earth has all. Yes, the Earth has many elements.
Well,
in it.
has
but we are. It's a very clear proof that we can come out of the
So
Earth,
okay, wait,
out of the
wait,
dirt.
wait. But, so you're saying the 7 most common elements that are in the Earth are what we're made of? Is that what you're trying to say?
We can find the elements that you are made of on the dirt.
We can find almost every element we know about in the dirt if you look in the right places. Sure.
Well, yeah,
But
but we're talking. The thing is that we're talking about thousands and thousands of years that these people is telling you. You know what? God made us out of nothing.
But okay, but wouldn't it make perfect sense that everything that's in the dirt we're made of, because inevitably what we consume comes from the dirt, the elements and stuff in the dirt. Because let's say, for example, we're eating vegetables. All of that, it gets the energy from the sun, but all the nutrients and stuff, besides what starts in the seed, all of that comes from the dirt.
Yeah, but you cannot go to McDonald's and eat hamburgers for 20 years and become a burger.
Well, you would break down first you would die.
No,
First you would die.
and I don't eat vegetables and become a vegetable. So what?
But what I'm saying is,
so let's say
Hold on,
I do eat those burgers, right? Let's say there's some chemical in them that's more dominant in that than other things. That would be more dominant in it. Just like when I'm eating the things that come from the earth, it's more dominant in it.
well, that will kill you.
Well, if you eat a lot of sodium,
Yes,
you'll have a
you
lot
eat
of
burgers from.
Well,
Yes, that will kill you.
that will kill you. But what I'm saying is that you're not going to become a hamburger just by eating hamburgers.
I can explain this actually. When you eat all the sugar that's in the hamburgers and all the starches and everything, you break that down into different sugars, and then you can use that for your own purposes. So they become different molecules. Same atoms, different molecules.
Yeah, but if you eat, let me put it to you, and let me simplify it. If you eat hamburger for 20 years, okay, and they made a test in your blood, they're not gonna find the same things that they're gonna find on the burger.
No, because your body regulates it.
Your body might. So why can you apply the same thing that I'm telling you with the dirt?
Yes, because
we don't eat dirt. We only eat things that come from the
things
earth.
that come from the dirt.
Yes.
And our bodies have developed over massive amounts of time to be eating these things, right? Let's just assume, just for the sake of argument here, assume that we actually have been evolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies would be naturally developed to need the nutrients that we get. Right? Because if what we're eating comes from the dirt, it has the nutrients that's in the dirt, then it only makes sense that we would need that nutrients. If we're eating it over and over and over again, our body develops and learns to use that effectively, and that's what we need.
And whenever we eat too much of one, it just comes out as poop or pee.
Well, yeah, that's totally. What I'm trying to say is you cannot just simplify it to say, okay, you know what, we've been eating from nutrients from the earth, therefore we have the same components that the earth has, because that doesn't apply.
Well, if over millions of years people only ate McDonald's hamburgers and somehow managed to not die of horrible heart failure, then that would start to be what their body needs.
Well, no, but what I'm trying to say is you cannot eat hamburger, be dying, have sex with your wife, and pass those genes to your son. You know what I'm saying?
No. Okay.
No, it's impossible. The one that is dying is you.
No.
Not your baby.
That's not how evolution works, though. You see,
No, I'm talking about the coming from the dirt, like the Bible says.
yes, but our body filters out things we don't need and removes it from us. That's why you poop. That's why you pee. That's your waste. Okay. So your body uses the most dominant materials in those vegetables, in the other animals that you eat, all that stuff. It uses that because it's the most dominant. It's what's available, right? So, right, you know what you see.
Yeah, I know the nutrients.
So,
we need the nutrients.
so I think we lost my point. God.
You cannot pass those nutrients to your kids.
No, you
cannot
don't pass the
pass those
nutrients,
genes
but-
to your kids. It's on your genes. It's on your DNA.
You mean
Your
okay?
DNA
So
cannot be changed.
Well, eating something doesn't change your DNA.
Exactly. Thank you. That proves my point.
Yeah, eating.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, because my DNA.
So wait, what's your
okay,
point?
let me tell you. Okay, God in the beginning says, okay, everything has a DNA. Plants, fruits, animals. You know, I'm gonna tell you why. If you get an orange seed, okay, if you plant it on the ground, are you expecting strawberries? You're expecting oranges. Why? Because that seed has all the information to say, okay, I'm gonna grow into a plant. I'm gonna be on a certain way. I'm gonna give these beautiful oranges, and they're gonna give vitamin C, and all the information is on a simple seed.
Yeah.
Right?
DNA is amazing.
Perfect. DNA is amazing. You cannot change DNA.
You can.
Well, you
No,
can.
no,
Well,
you
you can.
done it.
But yes.
It does it naturally,
Yes.
and we can do it.
Okay, you can. I know that nowadays you can. Okay, but
It
you
would
cannot.
change naturally even before that.
But how can you? You cannot change it. You can alter it. Oh, you know what I'm
Altering
saying?
is changing.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the same thing.
no, because you cannot. You know, you cannot plant an orange seed and expect something else.
We can modify the DNA then.
You can modify it and have maybe small oranges or bigger oranges. You know, like Monsanto does.
What about like
Monsanto.
grapples and stuff? They're
What?
grapples. It's an apple and a grape. It's an apple that tastes exactly like a grape. They genetically modify them to be the same.
They
To
genetically
change.
modify.
That's entirely different now.
You know what? The only reason why I believe that you can actually, and I'm not flip-flopping here, the only reason why I believe that you can actually touch DNA is because the devil is being influencing in people. Like they have hybrid people now. If you go to CERN, you know, you know what CERN is?
No.
Okay, if you study CERN, you know it's a place. You know, I'm not sure if it's I can't remember what it is, but it's called CERN. You can let me write it down for you. And what they're doing is they're trying to recreate the Big Bang. Okay.
Oh, the Hadron Collider.
Oh, the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, that's not
The LHC.
quite the same, but
CERN. They're trying to recreate. You know what the guy says?
I'm gonna look that up.
The guy in charge
Give me
of
a
the whole thing. The guy in charge of this project says he says that he's gonna become God. And whether we like it or not, he's coming. You can look at it. It's on YouTube. Okay, so
there's no chance that was hyperbole or.
well, I think he's crazy. He's not gonna become God. No, nobody can become God.
I meant, do you think there's a chance that it was, you know, a joke, not entirely meant to be serious?
No.
Comments like that are made all the time.
No, he's talking very serious. He's talking very serious, and he's saying, if I'm gonna become God, we are gonna become God. Okay. We're going to become God, and we are going to do this whether you like it or not. If you get on my way, I will destroy you. And the guy is talking very serious. He's not joking around, okay?
Can you find that quote, please?
What?
Just look at the documentary on CERN, okay? It's almost at the end of the documentary. So anyways,
I'm looking at the wiki page.
Man, was that?
I'm looking at the wiki page right now.
Okay. Man is always trying to become God. Always. They're always trying to become a superior being.
Sure.
Now,
Why not? Why wouldn't it be?
That's a good thing.
well,
Become.
we can try, but we'll never be. The day that you made a flower out of nothing, you're God. Do you know anybody can make a flower out of nothing?
I mean, no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It will never happen.
We
The only thing that it can happen is that somehow. Do you guys believe in the devil?
No.
No, we don't believe in anything.
If I'm
Okay,
an
you guys don't
atheist,
believe
I
in
don't
devil.
believe in the devil.
Okay, you don't believe in, because I met an atheist person before, and he believed in some negative source of energy. That I call him devil, he doesn't. but he believes that it's pretty serious. In San Francisco, there's a pretty big movement, and they play with that, you know. And you know, there is people that believe in that. Okay, so what I'm trying to get here is there is no going back to this point. The finches. What are the other finches?
Darwin's finches.
Darwin finches.
They have different beaks that represent their different needs for food.
Yes, they did not become a different species. They just became a different kind of bird.
That's a different species.
Well,
different kind.
When your pig grows to a different, trying to. Let me tell you this: we're having problems with the weather right now.
Sure.
Okay, and maybe I will say 100 years from now, if we make it 100 years, our body is gonna start adapting to this weather.
It probably would take significantly
It will
longer.
probably take a little more, but let's talk for the sake
Sure.
of my point. Let's talk 100 years, right?
For example.
My body, it will probably become more. See, I just had a sunburn and look how my skin turned.
Right.
Okay, but maybe in 100, 150 years later, my body is gonna become the skin or the people's skin is probably gonna become a little thicker that is more sun tolerant and darker. That's not a change of species. That's just adaptation to whatever is going on. I'm sorry.
Okay, but a chain from one of these things to another is evidence of adaptation because you can take a significant amount of small changes and inevitably it'll lead to a large change.
Right. But you say that we're coming from fish.
Yeah.
How can we evolve from fish to a human?
That's the kind of the point I was making when I was saying that it's more nuanced than that. You evolved from fish to human over millions and millions and millions of years.
Okay,
I can tell you exactly how you change.
So you're telling me exactly that we are irrational animals or rational animals.
Sure.
Could you say that we are rational animals because
we're
there's
animals
rational and irrational animals?
To some degree, yes.
To some degree. Okay. What's the difference between this kid and my dog?
That kid and your dog? Yes, significantly. Besides the obvious, you mean mentally? And
Well, because we are animals, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the difference between him and my dog?
A lot of things.
Do you mean with mental capacity?
No, not mental capacity.
Because there's a lot of things. There's physical.
We're talking about animals, right?
Sure.
If you put a lion and you put a tiger and you put a sheep, the difference between these three is just that one is going to eat each other, right? But
Okay,
they're still animals. They're still animals.
Yeah, and so are we.
Okay, you think that we are animals?
And the reason that we are able to not kill each other and do all that stuff, potentially, we can act reasonable, is because we have significantly more developed minds than they do. They're simplistic and instinctual. We have the ability to reason. We can understand higher levels of pretty much every form of knowledge.
And you think that millions and millions and millions years ago, our ancestor fish, they had the same capacity?
No, of course not. That was developed over that time.
They developed. So how come like the gators haven't developed that?
What?
They just
I can tell you why. I can tell you exactly why. So you have to remember that to start off, evolution is like a giant tree, right? So things, branch off randomly, they stop. That represents, different lines of species dying, right? So you start with, let's say we have the group that would inevitably become us, and then we have like our old common ancestor, for example. So we can use monkeys as a very clear example. Monkeys exist, they're similar to us, but they're not the same, right? We're inherently different.
If you need a blood transfusion, you cannot get it from a monkey.
Okay, but you can't get it from some people, though.
You can get it from some people.
There are some people you can't.
Well, because we are the human race.
No, but there's still people. Like, there's a solid chance I could not get a blood transfusion from him.
Well, because a different type of blood.
Exactly.
Right,
okay.
but that doesn't mean that he cannot give blood to your sister.
Can I? Maybe he could. But can I get back to my point? So let's say we have just Group A that would become us in Group B, right? So the monkeys. Evolution happens through random traits developing. Okay, so say you have a genetic mutation, which happens when there's a screw up in recreating DNA. and it causes us to have slightly bigger heads.
¿Qué te estoy diciendo?
That makes room
Cero
for
a siete.
a bigger brain, which means more intelligence potentially, right? And we could look at monkeys and say, oh, you know, maybe they were living in the jungle. They need to be hardy. They need to be strong. They need to be agile to move between trees and stuff, right? So any trait that they're either positive traits, and they generally help animals survive. They're negative traits, they make them die faster. And then they're neutral traits that really have no relevance, which we can ignore for the purpose of this.
Omar, habla más para allá, habla más para allá.
So, if they develop positive traits that starts leaning towards being hardy, having the agility, all that stuff, they're going to more likely survive with those traits, right? Okay, so eventually these traits get developed, and they start to add up over time till you have something that looks entirely different because they're separated. Eventually, they stop being able to breed with us. They become separate. Whereas we grew up, I believe it was on the shores is the idea, where we had access to a lot of fish food, which had things that are good for your brain in it, and it promoted development. Then that combined with like hunting on the ocean, being smarter.
Let me just stop you right there. So how come if other fish that eat other fish don't get the same reaction?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying that we get all this omega or whatever and this nutrients
Because
from the
they would,
fish.
well, one, they would probably need to be larger to do it, and they're an ungodly amount of environmental pressures that would add up to say, oh, well, you know, fish can't do this. Like,
Tell him
there's
not to jump, he's gonna get hurt.
so. Let's just say, for example, that it's entirely possible that did happen. It doesn't mean it will. So genetic mutations are completely random, right? So not necessarily completely random, but they're random. You know, it's not just like, oh, well, developing this trait would be good, therefore they'll develop this trait. It's if the genetic mutation comes and that trait is helpful, it will continue.
Yeah, most of them
More
are
than
really
likely.
bad, and they just make the
So-
animal die faster.
Yes. So look at like
But you're talking something that you were taught at school as a fact,
sure.
or you're or
Do
you're
you
just
think
trying to,
adaptations are not fact?
or no? Because we're going back to what my question about the kid and my dog. The
Okay,
differences.
what's the difference between them? Well, there are physical differences, obviously.
Well, I know
Build of
that.
human. From
But
a-
as far as
You want us to name his genetic sequence?
no, that's I know.
I'm not sure what you're
genetically,
asking
I know
for.
exactly what I'm asking for is okay. Let me tell you this, okay? If you see, let's per se this little kid. This is your brother
My nephew.
or your nephew. If you see this little nephew, as you see, and you never seen him before, it's just a kid,
Yeah, sure.
okay? And he's drowning on the pool,
Yeah,
and then on the same pool, you have a dog drowning.
yeah.
Who would you save?
The kid.
Why?
Because human life has more value than dogs.
Why?
Because
We're
humans
just
are,
animals.
because humans are capable of higher levels of reasoning. And I think that has more intrinsic value than a dog.
You know why? You know why you will.
I could give you-
You didn't hesitate to
That
tell
would
me the
be-
kid. You will pick the kid.
That
You know
wait,
why?
that would be my justifiable rational reasoning. I could give you a reason that supports evolution, which is why you could apply it to either one. Because if you're evolving in, let's say, a tribe, right? Let's say we're tribal, right? So it's better if our tribe survives, you know? So developing a natural inclination towards wanting to help your own group is beneficial, because the more you're willing to sacrifice for your own group and potentially for them, the more likely they'll survive, your genes will pass on. That will be part of it. And it's a natural inclination to want, like, you're naturally inclined to save either the dog or the kid, right?
I will save the kid anytime.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, a human being would be inclined to say, one of them, even if you're a disgusting person who's going to pick a dog over a child. But, like, you can look at it either way. If your in-group is other people that just other people in general, then you're gonna go for the child because that's your in group. That's who you're naturally inclined to make survive. If you care more about your dog than other people, you might want to save your dog. It's your in group.
How about this? I will save the kid because morally, do you have morals?
Of course.
Where do you,
Yes.
Oh my
okay,
god.
where do you get your morals from?
You're not murderers.
Society,
Huh?
society, and my own
Oh,
rationale.
really?
Yeah.
What about God? What about God
I would
putting those
say
morals
no.
in your heart?
I would say no.
We didn't need to.
You know?
I
Well,
don't
I
think
will
that's
say
why.
yes because you know what? God gives people the morals.
I disagree.
You cannot get morals out of any animal that you can mention in.
Human.
But
no,
wait.
no animal. So,
Wait.
wait. Let me make my point. The reason why I'm asking you all these questions, and to you they look ridiculous, but to me it makes a lot of sense because they prove my point. Okay. First of all, there is what 26,000 kinds of species of animals in the world, or whatever.
Significantly, millions.
more.
There are millions of different species.
Well,
Probably
no.
billions.
No, it's millions. It's
Well,
somewhere in the.
it's,
Ten million. Yeah.
it's about 26,000 of them. Let me tell you why. Okay, you cannot count a tiger and a cat as a different species.
Yes, you can. They aren't. They cannot breed
the same
together. They're
species.
different species.
It's the same species.
They cannot breed
It's the same
together. They are
family.
different species.
The wolves and the dogs are the same kind.
Okay, a
So
kind.
they-
Sure, a kind is a
therefore-
different word than a
well-
species.
Well, yeah, but it's the same. They're the same kind. Therefore, in the same family, you cannot say, oh, this wolf and this dog is a different kind or
Okay.
a different species. Why? Because if you mix a wolf and a dog, they will mate and they will have babies.
Some can,
Therefore-
but a cat and a lion cannot.
Well,
Even if it
have
were
you seen-
physically possible, they
Have you
cannot.
seen the Savannah cat?
What's that?
Have you seen the Savannah cat?
What is it? No.
It's a cat about this big. It's a cat about this big that came with the mix about I think it's a leopard and a house cat. Somehow they were able to modify the genes, and you have this Savannah cat is about this tall.
So it's genetically modified.
It's genetically well. It's not genetically.
Is
modified.
it they breeded together or
I
they
don't
were
know exactly how they breed it, but
artificial
if I
insemination?
have sex with a monkey, we cannot have babies as a different species. You see my point?
No, but you have.
If I have
but
sex with a dog, we cannot have babies because we're different species. That's a different species.
Okay,
A
but
different. Now, if I put a monkey and a gorilla, they might be able to because they have the same genes, the same family. Therefore, it's the same species. You cannot count as a different species. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree because like there are distinct differences between animals of different species, and that's why we classify them as different species.
Well, you can classify different species, but it's still the same family. Therefore, it's still the same
Sure.
kind. You can say it's a different species. I can say are different. How many races of people there is?
Too many to count?
Can you just tell me a number?
I don't know.
Okay, just shoot a number.
Okay, I'll say-
26,000.
Sure, why not?
I can tell you there's only one kind,
The human
the
race?
human race.
Right.
Why would you separate the
But
blacks, the Hispanics, as a different kind, a different species? It's the same human
We're
race.
different races, not different species.
Well, exactly. Same, different race, same species. Right? In the same species, we have blacks. You have the Indians from Peru. You have all these different kind of people, but it's still the same species, the same kind, the same family. I can go to Japan and have sex to a Japanese, and we have a very beautiful baby, Japanese baby, between Mexico, Guatemalan, and Japanese.
Right.
Okay, that's my point. You cannot classify a different species when they can mate together and have babies. That's a completely different species. That's as a completely different species. You can't do that. Okay, it's the same kind, the same family. It's about 26,000. But if you separate a wolf as a one species, a dog as a one species,
Because they're distinctly.
I seen
No,
dogs,
but you see, wait. Actually, I want to make a point because the classification exists for a reason. So you said they can mate together, right? Okay, so for the house cat and the leopard, for example, they would create a probably not a new species because it needs to be able to it needs to be able to
Look at a different kind.
so the result of it would probably not be fertile. We can look at mules, I think it is. That's a donkey and a horse, right? A mule? Yeah. So mules are not fertile. They're not a species because
That's
they
a
can't
hybrid.
reproduce.
It's a hybrid.
Yes. And that's what you're talking about with the Savannah cat.
So
That
cats,
doesn't-
they can reproduce.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
The only one that can reproduce is very few. A mule is a good sample.
Okay, well,
But-
we have
but you can-
different
but you
types
can
of
make-
lizards, and they can't reproduce with each other. There are lizards that, even with an artificial insemination, they can't reproduce together.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's a different species. It's simply
Yes, it
because
is.
it's a hybrid. Because it's a hybrid.
No, but it's the
Because
same.
somehow
it's
the mule doesn't have the mule cannot reproduce with no one.
Yeah, but no. Like, let's say we have lizard A and lizard B, right? They're able to reproduce with themselves. They're fertile. They cannot reproduce with each other. They're both lizards.
Well, but is this example or a fact? Because
This
the
is a-
mule is a fact.
Yeah, this is an example. Do you
Okay,
want me to look up
example,
a
okay.
specific lizard that cannot breed with another one? Because
Well,
they
but
exist.
are they still lizards?
Yes, of course they are.
Okay, well, they're still in the same family. There's not a different species. You know? See,
That's why we have the
problem.
different classifications.
Here's the problem. You know why we believe it's a different. It's not a different species, just a different kind.
Why?
When we had the flood, okay, when we had the flood,
Sure.
God asked Noah to put one couple of a different kind. Okay.
Right.
So people said you cannot put more than 26,000 animals in there.
That's if you could fit 26,000 if they were the size of Pokeballs.
Well, the average animal was the size of a sheep.
Yeah, you wouldn't fit that many in there.
About this big, but you don't need that many.
The 26,000 was if you made them the size of like a baseball.
Yes, but with the 26,000, we're talking about fish as well.
And
Okay,
a lot of
and
fish.
you're talking.
Wait.
What, you didn't need fish in the ark
A
because
significant amount of fish would die because that excessive of amount of rain would desalinate the water.
how do you know that?
Because rain is fresh water.
Well, but you
Are
know
you going to
that the
contest
Bible
that?
says the water came from underneath the ground.
Well, yeah, but
My understanding of the
What's the
implication was
percentage?
that there was
60%
a
of water.
layer.
60% of water on the ocean versus 40% of land.
Yeah,
Or is
sure.
or I think it's more than that. I think it's like 75%.
It's like 70, yeah.
70 or 75.
Something like that.
water loses, or salt water loses most of its salinity once it gets into a cloud.
What's that?
Salt water loses most of its salinity when it gets into a cloud.
Yeah,
So
but the
wait,
Bible
wait.
doesn't say that.
In the Bible,
it
it
rained
says-
for 40 days. But not only rain, water came down from earth. The Bible says so.
Okay, but you also have to remember that it says that there was a layer. It was called either a vault or a what was it? Is that word that we were having trouble with when we read it?
I should remember this.
Where are you
But
trying to get?
it's the idea that there's the layer of water over the earth that was described in the Bible.
No.
Yeah,
Layer of water?
yeah, like above in the sky above the earth. May I see it? I'll see if I can find it.
The beginning will be Genesis.
Do you mind if I turn from this?
No, please. I was just gonna show you about the dinosaurs.
The
Oh,
firmament.
you're talking about the. Oh, okay, but that's not the layer. What it's saying right here, the creation. You're going back to the creation, but this is different from Noah's Ark.
The implication was my understanding was that the firmament. I believe it says that the firmament comes down. The water
Actually,
from
what it says is well, over here in Genesis 1:6, it says, "Then God said, let it be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Basically
the
saying-
water's up and the water down.
No, actually, what he's saying is the waters, salt waters and clean water. The waters from the waters. So now, you have to remember, we're talking about God. He's creating things, and the Bible says that when God created the earth, it was just water. It was no land. It was just water.
Okay.
And then he said, "Let us separate the water from the land." That's what it's saying right here. It's not saying that it was full of water everywhere. It's not saying that. What it's saying is that separated the two waters from water. It's telling you fresh water, salt water.
May I see it?
It's,
Just like to read through it
number
myself.
6, 1-6.
One second.
Pero eso lo inventó el descubridor. ¿No es cierto? Pero ¿por qué descubrió que eso es real? Porque se tomó su tiempo.
Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And God called the firmament
Se
heaven.
tomó el tiempo para
So the firmament is the sky, right? It's the heavens.
He called it.
Wait, it's the sky, it's the heaven. Okay? Let there be a firmament in the midst of water, and let it divide the waters from the water. And he divided the waters which were under the firmament, under the sky, from the waters which were above the sky.
So he's dividing heaven from earth.
Let me read it in Spanish. You see the context. Which one you're reading about?
It was just past the one that you showed me, the 1:6.
So the firmament divides heaven and earth.
Okay, e hizo Dios la expansión y separó las aguas que estaban debajo de la expansión y las aguas que estaban sobre la expansión. Y así fue. Llamó Dios a la expansión cielos y fue la tarde de la mañana.
No,
y
eso
se
se llama.
en el segundo día.
No, eso se llama.
E hizo Dios la expansión y separó las aguas que estaban debajo de la expansión y las aguas que estaban sobre la expansión. Y fue así. What I'm getting here is that he divided the waters. But
From
is
the
that-
waters below the heavens, the sky, from the waters above the sky.
No, he said, well, so basically, what he's saying right here is that if you see it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
The earth was without form. So it didn't have any form.
Sure.
Okay? So basically what's taking place here is he's shaping everything. Remember, when you grab something, you're shaping something, you're giving form. Okay? So he's giving form. The earth was without form and void. That means it was no trees or anything like that.
Yeah, sure.
When I think
And darkness was on the face of the depth. And the spirit of God was over in the face of the waters. Then God said, let it be light. And then there was light. Over here is not talking about the sun, okay? It was talking about the light of the space. It's not talking about the sun.
Yeah, I know. No, I understand that.
Okay, because a lot of atheists, they think, because down here he created the sun, they say, oh, it's a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. He's creating the heavens. He's creating the universe.
There's no light without stars, but...
Well, he's creating the stars. He's creating the universe.
So, yeah, I noticed that when I read through it.
Okay,
I did point that out. So.
And then, right here, he is separating. So it could be, I don't know. It could be that it was a full big...
So there's a model that was
big
described
of
based
water.
around this, and the idea is the Earth is flat, right? That's idea at the time, and then it's like a dome above it, and there's a firmament in the middle. There's the water of the heavens.
He's not saying that the earth was
That was
flat.
the generally accepted idea at the time, which is why that model came about. But it was based on this description. And I think that's a fair interpretation of what it's trying to say, because it says it's
Let me ask you-
voidless and without form, but it never, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't say that he shapes it into circular during the creation.
Wait, what if he's talking about North and South Pole?
The firmament
the
is
thing is, we gotta
the
get-
firmament is the sky, and from the perspective,
Well,
from
he's-
his perspective, look, it's
Well,
the
yeah,
sky.
but he's naming things. He says, and then he named it. He named it sky, heavens. After everything,
The
was
heavens
separated.
is not the north.
No, what I'm talking about is in the waters below and on top. It might be talking about. I'm not sure exactly, but it could be talking about the earth is round and there's water here and there's water here. Okay.
I don't think that really.
Just think about it, and you have to go to the Greek to see what exactly words is talking about. But if the earth is round and there's water down here and there's water up here, it might be talking about that.
I mean,
Alright, what happened?
that's you gotta admit that's really kind of that's weird sounding.
What?
I don't think so,
What?
because it says specifically he creates the firmament, which is the heavens. That's the sky.
The firmament will it could be saying the space, and he says that he's expanding the space. I wrote this is the third part where I have shown you that says he spans the sky. Okay.
I think I
And he
don't
says
think
that
I
he's
can
still,
agree.
and you know that
with that
he's, and you
interpretation.
know that he says that he's still expanding the sky. God says that He's still expanding the sky.
Sure.
Yeah,
Why
He's
not?
still, and you know, what do you guys know by science? The
expanding.
universe is
Sure.
expanding. The Bible, you know,
But there's a lot in there that I would say is also wrong. Like, let me put it this way: I could write just massive book, just out of nothing, and you could apply some of the things I wrote to be true based on later things. It doesn't necessarily mean that the entire context is, or even that they knew that it would be right, and it's not just coincidence. There's a lot written in the Bible.
There is a lot. There is another subject that I like to touch with you guys, but we don't have time for that.
Okay.
But anyways, it's about the building of the big temples, like the Egypt pyramids, about the Mayan temples and all that. But that's a conversation for another day. The Bible talks about it. Okay. The Bible talks about aliens.
Okay.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Talk about,
Sounds interesting.
it talks about aliens coming to Earth. It's not the same aliens that we think, but anyways, talks about it. We can leave that conversation for some other day. But anyways, this right here is the translation from the Greek.
Right.
To understand exactly what they're talking about, you got to go to the Greek and see what word was used, because on the Greek you can use 13 different words for one. 13 different significant translation for one word.
Yeah.
So anyways, to me it's very clear that this is the creation week. He is creating things. Okay, he's shaping everything. He's telling you he is making the firmament, he is making the stars, and he says that the angels used to sing and praise of everything that he was created. So anyways,
I think I found our fundamental disagreement on that. Why we're disagreeing.
Why?
So, from your perspective, it's all essentially God telling the person what to do, and that's why it would all, it would be more fair to translate to say north, south, all that.
That's just my understanding.
Right, and then from my position, it's just a dude who wrote it based on his experiences then, some really old dude in the middle of the desert, up and down. He doesn't know the world's round. He doesn't know all these things. So, there's the water in the sky, and then there's the water down here. That's, it rains, that kind of stuff happens.
Well, but, they don't, they just
sky's
don't know.
blue. I understand that they don't understand that, and that's where, when you start from the perspective where, let's say, there is no God, them not knowing, this is them trying to explain it. And the similarities are mostly coincidental.
You know that there is no other book. You can bring me any book you want. There is no other book that explains and claims the creation of the earth than the Bible.
I'm sure I can find you something.
Well, I'm sure you can, but it's not like a lot of people say. Oh, there is contradictions of the Bible. I can hand you the Bible and say, give me one. You're not going to find one.
I could come back with some if you want
yeah,
to talk about it again sometime.
You can try. You can come back, go on the computer and try to see contradictions, and they will give you a list of things. But then we can look into it, and we're going to see that it's not a contradiction. Now, I believe this book is the Word of God. Mm-hmm. Not only because it gives you so much. It has science. It has history. It has. You know that in the 1800s, there was a doctor here in the United States that I think it was like something about 40 women out of 100 that give birth will die. And they didn't understand. They didn't understand why. Okay.
Because it's ripping your body to pieces.
No, because people are still giving birth and they're not dying.
Yeah, it's because we have modern medicine.
But when you have, I think 40% of the people is something to be very concerned about. So then
1 in 40 is not 40%.
No, 40% out of 40 out of 100.
40 of
okay, that's 40%.
Yeah, you said 40 out of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's 40% of the people. It could be more. Sure. I think it was more. So this doctor, he started to study the Bible. Okay, he started to study the Bible. He wasn't a Christian, and he just started to study the Bible. In the book of Leviticus, which is the old guy that we were talking about, Moses wrote that that people have to clean. People have to wash their hands in running waters. Why? Because if you go to a tank and you have what is it, bacteria in your hands, you wash it on this tank, the bacteria is going to stay there. It's not going to float.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
is it not-
there is a reason why he was giving all these specifications on Leviticus, and then he started applying. You know what? Wash your hands before we get. And they realized that what they were doing, it was they were holding the baby, they were helping the woman to give birth,
Right.
and their hands weren't clean. So then they start cleaning their hands, and problem solved.
Right,
You know?
but
And he found it on the Bible. And we're talking back in the 1800s where people didn't know much.
yeah, but like you could look at that from my perspective and say he noticed that if your hands were clean when you did it, or when you washed them in running water, people died a little less when they gave birth. If he noticed that, then he would say, "Clean your hands in the running water."
But you know
Or-
why he noticed it? Because he wrote it on the Bible.
I'm talking about where it was originally written. Moses wrote that then, yeah.
No. See
is
what
it?
happens
Say
is
that?
what
What's
happens is that in the book of Leviticus, God gives them instructions of how to live. Hold on.
How much more time do we have here, by the way? Just so.
I don't know. But see here in the book of Leviticus, he's giving the law to their people, and he's telling you all the morals and all.
I know what Leviticus is.
Okay. So, anyways, regulations for conduct of priests and all that. So here, somewhere in Leviticus, it says that you need to wash your hands in running waters, and this is not just because he find out. This is the laws. Let me see where I can find it.
I'll look it up while you're looking. Leviticus, wash your hands. Looks like 15.
Oh,
1 through,
15. Oh, I went too far.
I think so. 15:1.
15:1. Okay. And then it says, and the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and said, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any man has a discharge from his body, okay, his charge is unclean. And this shall be uncleanness in regard to this discharge, whether his body runs with a discharge on his body is stopped and by his discharge, and is uncleanness. Every bed is unclean, or what is the water? Okay, and however touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bath in water, and be unclean until the evening. He who sits on anything which he discharges the salt shall be in water, and be unclean until the evening. And who touches the body of him who has discharged shall wash the clothes of him. Okay, there you go. Bath in water, and he has discharged the spirit, clean water, then shall wash his clothes and any saddles discharged unclean. However, touches anything that under him shall clean unto the evening. He who carries any of the same clothes and bath in water and unclean unto the evening.
This might be a different area.
This is just giving them instructions how to,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking for the one I just read off. Let's see.
Leviticus, cleaning your hands in running waters. But anyways, it's here somewhere.
I know what you're referring to.
But anyways, this is, what's your name?
Alex.
Alex. You know what, Alex? This is such an incredible book, man. It has so much wisdom in here that it's hard. Do you believe in Jesus?
Yeah, and I believe.
You know
Sure.
that people don't even think that Jesus existed?
The overwhelming majority of historians agree that he existed in some form of the story given.
Okay. Jesus was, and this is so amazing. Jesus was so important, and it was so significant to humanity that he divided humanity. Have you ever thought about that? He divided humanity.
In what sense?
Well, you have even atheists talking about before Christ and after Christ. Since when we start counting the years?
Okay.
2,000 years ago when Jesus was born.
Well, in some cultures, yeah.
Well,
in some cultures, they don't.
in your culture too.
Yeah, sure.
What year are we at?
We are in 2016. Or 2016.
2016. 2016 years ago, Jesus was born and he divided history. That's how
Okay.
important Jesus is. You know, and the things that he said, no Muhammad, no Buddha,
Okay,
no
but
nobody.
being a significant figure in history does not necessarily make him actually holy.
He is holy. Because all the things that he did and all the things, you know that there is evidence outside the Christian point of view, like the Romans, like Plinius per se.
Sure.
Plinius, he spoke about Christian, and he wasn't a Christian. He was just a writer, Roman writer.
Yeah.
He spoke about Christ. Says how he died, how miracles he did, and he didn't have any need to write about him, but he was a historian, therefore he had to do it. You know, because the historians, like right now, everything on the news, this, everything, whether they like it or not, they have to publish it, right?
I don't think that's true at
Well,
all.
I know that's not true, but they somehow they have to they manage the news and all. We know all that.
When you have massive amounts of news sources, yes,
yeah,
inevitably.
but you know there is historians at the moment.
Yeah, and historians can be biased too.
Well,
that is possible.
But if you say if you have let's say if we are here and you are a historian, if you see something happen, you know, and something that this guy is making miracles, whether you like it or not, if you are a historian, you're gonna put it in your books, right?
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to get.
Okay.
So see what the Bible talks about people here that don't believe, you know, it's because it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what it says.
Because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts and foolish, and their foolish hearts were darkened.
Okay. Processing to be wise, they became fools, and charged with glory of the incorruptible God into an image made by corruptible man. So what I'm trying to get here is the Bible. The Bible has a lot of wisdom, Alex.
I agree. I do agree with that.
And I believe, and
Sure.
if you let's say per se don't believe in God, give it a I wouldn't say give it a chance because that's too extreme. Just hold the fence and study from this perspective why you believe that there is no God. You know, like I gone and I study. I listen to what's this guy? The one that did the
Great Comfort?
God Delusion? No.
Oh, the God delusion. That was
Richard
Dawkins.
Dawkins. I listen to him. He's got a lot of things that make a lot of sense. And talking about science, he's a pretty sharp man. But you know, a lot of things that he says, I just disagree because he doesn't even have proofs of what he says. And he's been disproved many times, different times. Not only here in the United States, in Europe. So if I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the whole picture, you know, I hold the fence and I go to the atheist side and try to understand why. That's why I ask you so many questions.
Right.
And the questions that I ask, you know, I could see your reaction that you believe, oh, you know what, this guy is an idiot. But if you really give it the thought and say, okay, you know what?
No, I don't believe you're an idiot, by the way.
Well,
You're very clearly smart. I disagree with you,
But we have disagreements. But a lot of people, they say, oh my gosh, how can this idiot think what he thinks? You know? A lot of atheists believe that Christians are just ignorance because they believe in something by faith. And we do believe in something by faith. But don't we all?
Sure. If you, depending on what you say by faith. You believe evolution is a belief. Therefore, you have a lot of significant amount of faith to believe in that because you don't have all the proofs. All the proofs that you have is what the teachers tell you as a fact, but it's not I
a
have
fact.
been to museums. I've seen fossils I mean, right now I could not name you a specific one. I didn't dedicate to memory, the specific ones I saw, the transition fossils. I don't remember what. Oh God, which one was it? I think it was the Natural History Museum, actually.
I went to the Natural Museum.
No, it was the Smithsonian. Yes, the history or the natural history in the Smithsonian. I went there. They had transition fossils on display. They're not perfect, obviously enough. You do have to make some assumptions, but I feel that there's not enough evidence to believe in the alternative. Well, there are tons of alternatives. Well, there are many alternatives. I don't think the Bible has enough evidence behind it. I mean, I read through.
I think there is enough evidence.
I read through an entire book called. It was like Evidence for God, or Michael. What was the book that I got from the library called?
Evidence that demands a verdict?
Yes, Evidence that Demands a Verdict. Have you read that?
Evidence of
That Demands a Verdict.
no.
Okay.
Written by who?
I don't know. But it was updated recently too.
It was like a Christian guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was Christian, and the entire point of it was it was it wasn't a small book. You know what I mean? And it was an entire thing.
And you wrote the whole thing?
I read.
Oh, you read it?
I skipped a few parts. I'll be
know,
honest.
I like that.
The overwhelming majority I read.
So, let me ask you. I like that. I have a lot of respect for that because you're trying to do both. Are you trying to come on? Are you trying to understand both sides?
I wouldn't be talking to you if I didn't want to understand both sides. I would just sit online and have a circle jerk with my friends about it. Creationists are stupid.
So, are you trying to read all this or going through these books so you can prove Christians wrong or so you can gain more knowledge?
I try to take a neutral stance on it. It's a mixture thereof. But my entire purpose for coming here to talk to you is to gain new knowledge and to further myself. I like proving people wrong. It's a nice feeling to be like, well, you're actually wrong. It's kind of
they've been trying to prove the Bible wrong for thousands of years. Well, not thousands, because the Bible was only written, 3,500 years ago. But for hundreds of years, they've been trying to prove it wrong. They couldn't.
And I disagree. I think it has been proven wrong. I think the fossil record demonstrates it. What?
What facts?
Well, we can look at the creation of the Earth. So, we have significant evidence to suggest that the Earth is significantly older than the Bible would portray it to be. Different dating methods.
Do you know that's been disproved as well?
No.
Okay. If you see, I was just listening to this guy, and he was saying about something in the space winding. I think it was some kind of galaxies winding.
Spiral galaxies?
Inspiring galaxies. Okay. They're winding in.
Yes.
Right? If you have millions and billions of years ago, they don't have that much time. They need more time. That's why they go billions and billions of years. They don't have that much time. They cannot wind. They cannot wind. And if you take all these, all this since they're being starting, and you go at the speed that they're being winding, and you count, there's no way that they have wind for billions of years. Or they will keep on winding for billions of years. It's winding pretty fast, right? So therefore, if you really give thoughts, there's no much time that they've been winding.
Okay.
Another thing, helium. Helium in the air.
Sure. Yeah.
If you talk about millions and billions of years, there's no way. The amount of helium on the space, it would have been. There's no way that you can give all this helium on the air, on the space, not on the space, on the earth,
atmosphere.
On the atmosphere. There is not much time for expansion for all that helium. You know that, right?
Helium is extremely common. Because
it's extremely common, but if you see over, is it getting less helium any time or more?
Probably more.
There's probably more.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have more, if you have over thousands and billions of years ago, how will that amount of helium will be right now?
Depends.
Well, it's
Depends
growing,
on a
right?
multitude of factors. Yeah. I mean, okay, but it only grows so much, but it does grow because stars they burn hydrogen and then they create helium, and that's how they create so much energy. It's just massive amounts of gravity. Right. You understand how a star works? Mm-hmm. Okay. So they slam it together, they create a bunch of helium. Eventually, the star gets too massive, it gets to the end of its life, it expands, and then it starts slamming and making different things, and then other elements are only...
Now, trying to understand where you're coming from, sorry. Do you believe that we are part of stars?
From stardust?
From stars? Out of the explosion of stars, or bodies of stars? Sure. You believe that?
Because, I was just, obvious. Yes, because that's how we're made of elements, atoms, elements, and then combinations from those elements of different things, right? Different molecules and stuff like that, right? Down to the atom.
Sure. We're made from elements, yes.
Okay, and then
the elements from the earth.
And then those elements are made in stars. They're made to be different ones. So it starts as hydrogen, then they're slammed together. And that creates a nucleus with 2 protons. That makes a hydrogen atom. And then it gets bigger. I think it can get up to iron. I could be wrong on that.
So do you believe that we are part of we are the result of explosion of the stars, and we're part of the stars? Animals are the same way?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So how come? And we're going back to the same question. How come we evolve the knowledge
because of different environmental pressures?
Conscience? Where does conscience come from?
Because
we're the only ones that have conscience.
Yeah.
I believe that we have conscience. I believe that we have morals because God gave us those morals. That's what I believe. But how can you stand in front of people and say, "Oh, we are the result of the explosion of the stars, and we're coming from fish. Therefore, we evolved to have knowledge, conscience, and you don't evolve to have conscience."
Well, I disagree with that statement. I think you do.
Why?
Because over
if
time,
it was,
the more brain power is valuable for us, right? You could say in survival it would be more valuable, right? Being smarter, being able to think.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, sure. And definitely being smart is a fit trait, right?
Be smart is a what?
A trait that you would put into fitness. Right. So it's beneficial. Let's say... So I believe that it happened because of chance, right? We're here right now because of an unbelievable amount of improbable events that happened to lead to this, right? So, same thing for the existence of humans. If something had gone wrong, I wouldn't be here to tell people that we're here from chance. So that's the basic principle. I can take a barrel of hundreds of dice, and the chances of them all rolling on the same side they do is almost infinitely improbable.
Yes.
So
I gotta have a few.
Same concept.
But see, here's the thing, okay? We believe as a Christians, we believe that we get the morals, and we believe that we get conscience from God, because we are created in His image.
And I have to disagree.
Well, yes, you disagree with that. It's obvious that you disagree, but it does. God says in His Word that He created us as His own image. Okay,
right.
Nobody else, no other animal. And He also says that we are to rule over other animals.
Right.
Other all creation, we are to rule. No other creation rules over us. We rule the world.
And if that were written by somebody, observing the world around them, from my perspective, if it was written by somebody observing the world around them, they look around, they're like, we're the smartest ones here. They're just animals. They're beasts.
Well, but they don't know what's
on
the other side.
What?
They don't know what's on the other side. Is there other?
And that's kind of the point, is that they're talking about their subjective opinion.
You can just say that it's just somebody out randomly.
What?
Somebody randomly says, "Oh, look, we're the smartest." Okay, or therefore we're the smartest.
Well, it's not random. They look around and observe.
There is no other person that has the claims that this does. That's why it's the number one. That's why it's the number one book sold worldwide. No Richard Dawkins, no nobody. The Bible is the number one for a reason.
And
Okay.
the belief that the Earth was flat was.
It's not flat. I'm going to look into the Greek, and I'm going to let you know that it's not meaning flat.
Okay, please do. Please write down other potential translations. But what I was going to say is, like, just because it's popularly believed doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Because for the longest time, people thought the Earth was flat. Overwhelming majority of people.
Yeah, just because 1,000 people believe that tree, can fall out of nowhere, it doesn't mean that the tree is going to fall out of nowhere. I agree with that.
Sure.
But there is not only beliefs, there's facts.
Sure.
See, that's the
Okay,
thing. The Bible
but
has a lot of facts.
Here's my problem with that. Yes, there's a mixture. There are facts in there.
You know
yes.
that Jesus Christ, only Jesus Christ, fulfilled over 100 prophecies out of this book. And the chances that somebody fulfilling the chances that somebody fulfilling those prophecies are, 0.0000000.1%. You got the point. This tells you a lot, man. I mean, this tells you a lot. And these books are already written. These books from the Old Testament were possession of the Jewish. So nobody could come after Christ and start writing because they already had possession of it.
So my problem with that is that if obviously some of the prophecies are absolutely undeniable, they were fulfilled. He did the thing, right? Certain things in that, but there's also, if you look at it like somebody is writing a sequel to the original, then yeah, they're going to say he fulfilled these prophecies because not everything about Jesus' life is absolutely perfectly recorded. There's room for error.
The Bible says that Jesus did thousands of times. That if they said that if they will write everything he did, there was no books on earth to do everything he did. But the things that are written about him are the most important ones that he wanted us to keep and have.
My point is that if somebody had a bias towards it, even if it wasn't an intentional bias, they could write and say he did these things that he may not have, or maybe.
You mean after he lived?
What?
You mean after?
Yeah,
he,
sure. After he
died, they go and rewrite it.
Well, not even necessarily
just to say that he fulfilled it.
Not even necessarily that. They could even do it during the time he was alive.
Well, that's impossible, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the Jewish had the Torah, and the Jewish had their prophets, and the Jewish had. So if they wanted to somehow mess with these scriptures, they will have to disappear all the Jewish, books and all the Jewish, scrolls and stuff,
right,
in order to rewrite it and say, and then all of a sudden, okay, here's a new story about the, and they already had these books.
Right.
They were collected over time. They were just collected over time. But this is what all these prophecies were already written. About Jesus, there is a lot of things saying that he needed to be born out of a virgin. It says in Isaiah 9 that he needed to be born out of a virgin. How can a virgin give birth?
By lying.
Well, but she wasn't lying.
I
she
mean,
wasn't lying. She
claimed she
actually gave
wasn't.
birth.
Yeah.
There is a lot of things, and this was written 1,500 years before Christ.
Right.
So
sure.
there is no way that you can right now, even if you're the most powerful man on the earth, go back and change history. You cannot do it.
He who controls the past controls the future, or he who controls the past controls the future, and he who controls the present controls the past.
But
Or George Orwell.
yeah, but
I love it.
I mean, there's no way. Even if they say, the earthquake from 1978 didn't happen. How can they go back and change? And so many people written about the 1978 earthquake. How can they just disappear from history? They can't.
So it's absolutely impossible that could happen, right?
It's impossible.
Okay. I disagree. I think in super extreme circumstances it could. But
Super extreme.
Sure, we'll agree generally
Super
speaking.
extreme, but we're not. let's be realistic.
For the purpose of this, probably not. No.
They can mess with the future, but they cannot mess with the
You
past.
do have to remember that I don't think it's entirely fair to compare, something that happened in the last century to something that happened thousands upon thousands of years ago. Communication was very different.
Perfect. Thank you very much, because that makes my point. All these people were not in the same place. Like Moses, he was in Egypt. Daniel, Jeremiah, they were in different places. Babylon, they were captive in other different places. So this proves you that the Bible is true. How can you have? You know what? I have a preacher that I listen to. He has a lot of knowledge, and he says that one day this guy came over to his house and he was selling encyclopedias. So he brought him in and he says, "Okay, you know what? What are you selling?" He says, "Encyclopedias." "Oh, look, I got all these books. Can you please get me a book that is written in 2 different continents by 3 different authors, and all 3 talk about the same thing?" So he said that he went in the computer, he started looking, there's no such a thing. And he says, "You know what? Let me introduce you to a book that is not written by 3, it's by 40. Over 1,500 years, and they all agree about the same thing. How is this possible?"
So it's written over 1,500 years, right?
It's about $1,500, period of time that this book was written. That's why it's so powerful, man.
Well, wouldn't that mean that, although obviously communication is not the same, wouldn't that mean there's time for the news to travel?
No news, because see what happens is, let's talk about Moses. Okay, Moses, he was an Egypt prince.
Sure.
Moses, God used him to get his people out of captivity. Okay, we're talking Egypt. Then we go to, let's go to Psalm. Psalm was written by Solomon. He was a king in Israel. We're talking Egypt, Israel. We're talking about different places. Then we have Nehemiah. There was a prophet. Then we have Isaiah. Then we have Isaiah. Isaiah was, a different prophet in different places. Then we have Jeremiah. He was in Babylon. So all these people. And then this is just the Old Testament. Now let's jump into the New Testament. We have the Romans in Rome. Paul talking to the Romans. The Corinthians. That's Paul talking to the Corinthians. Then we have the books of Peter. Then Peter is just a different. See, you can get 20. Let's say you get 20 people. Okay, you get 20 people in here. You bring 20 people, random people, and you put them in here. Most of these people, they were doctors. Some of them were kings. It's written by different amount of people. Some of them were Romans, and they became Christians. Some of them not Romans. Like Paul, he was Jewish, but he was Roman at the same time, mother and father, whatever that was. But anyways, you get 20 people here. Or you get, let's say you get 40, because it's written by 40 people. You get 40 people, you bring them over here. And let's say you got 2 hours to teach him, give him a teaching. Okay? You said, you know what, guys? This is what we're going to talk, blah, blah. You got 2 hours to get whatever you can get from these 2 hours. Okay?
Sure.
Go throughout the whole world, write a book. Write a book about everything we spoke in 2 hours as a missionaries. You're going to go to Spain, you're going to go to Europe, you're going to go to South America, whatever. And then they're going to start, in their imagination, only from what they got from 2 hours, the imagination is going to go, right? They're going to start, they're going to start writing and thinking. All of a sudden you have 20 different sects or tribes or whatever you want to call it. Okay? This is not the case with the Bible. This is 4 different continents, 40 different people talking about the same thing.
Okay, but given that set of circumstances, just within that example, if they were given specific, instances, you could get some very similar things.
Maybe, but most likely they're just gonna go off the subject and they're gonna create their own things in their mind. Most likely that's what's gonna happen. It's chances are that that's what's gonna happen. They're not gonna. That's why we believe the Bible is. If you see the Quran, it's only written by one guy. Okay, and there's so many errors that they're being fixing it over and over and over and over. Okay, because he didn't even understand. That's why I told you it was a cheap version of the Bible. Because the Quran tries to talk about the Bible. The Quran talks about Jesus and says that Jesus, that Mary gave birth under a palm tree, and that Jesus, as soon as he came, he started talking to the mama and said, "Mom, don't worry about it. I'm the prophet." Where do you find this in the Bible? It's a perverted version of the Bible. Therefore, the Quran says that the Bible is true. And so by saying that the Bible is true, the Quran is saying, okay, this book is true. But if you say, okay, you know what, I'm Mauricio. Mauricio has the truth. You say that I have the truth.
Sure.
And then you go around and you start teaching about something else, different than what I teach. If you're saying that I have the truth, and you're teaching something about me that didn't happen, that doesn't claim in the Bible, who has the truth? Therefore, me, right?
Well,
use the logic here. Use the logic. If the Quran says that the Bible is truth, okay, that is a holy book.
But I think my problem with that is that first we then have to assume, okay, well, I'm lying, that makes you telling the truth, but that's not necessarily the case, because I could be wrong, and you could also be wrong. I just thought that I was just saying that you were right, but then you're also wrong.
Well, but that's not the case, because the Quran is saying the Quran talks about the Bible and talks about the Bible
is right, and then it says
it says that it's a holy book. It talks about it steals some of the people. It talks about the something about the creation.
Yeah, there are tons of similarities.
Talks about what I think is that Muhammad heard what was going on about the Bible and he just started writing. But he didn't have the same, hey, George, but he didn't have the knowledge to say, you know what, that was true. He didn't, so he just heard about it. That's why I say it's a cheap version, because he just, to my understanding, for what I have read from the Quran, it says that he just heard things and he just wrote what he heard, knowing that it was a holy book. So that he loses a lot of credibility over the time just by doing that. ¿Qué onda, George?
¿Cómo estás?
Aquí echándole ganas, man.
¿Vienes del jale?
Vengo ahorita del jale, mira.
Hola, te quería preguntar algo. ¿Qué crees que la cama se me sube?
¿Cómo así?
Como puse palos,
Ajá.
se me va para abajo, entre, como ya ves que el colchón es medio.
Por eso, porque no tiene base y se te hace así.
Cuando no, y de ahí sí no puedo. Yo creo que voy a tener que poner la otra cama porque no me puedo dormir y que de repente.
Sí, porque pues no tiene nada en medio. ¿Eh?
Nada, exacto.
Mira, yo.
Te quería preguntar más o menos como para cuándo, para ver si la quito o la dejo.
Ok.
No la sé.
¿Sabes qué? Y esta semana yo iba a ir, pero mañana ya me puse ocupado.
What have you said in the last hour?
Déjame ver si.
¿No tienes un
What?
What's the subject?
Tablas que vienen así en.
Really? Wow.
¿Sabes qué? Tengo esas tablas.
You go down that
You know
list.
what, by the way? Don't waste your time there.
Oh no, you agree? Okay.
Because he's not Christian, he's not Buddhist, he's not he's nothing.
Wait,
So
him?
you cannot take somebody that is nothing seriously. He says he is, but he's really not.
Well, since we have time, I guess I'll just recap what I was talking about with the other guy. It was the second guy that you guys heard. Oh my god. Okay, so first of all, the 5 things that he was gonna. That's fine. He's not gonna get in trouble. Anyway, the 5 things that he was talking about, he didn't name the rest, but the other one was psychology, psychiatry, science, and entertainment. Those were the 4 other things that he was going to mention last time we saw him. But anyway, he was... Alex. Alright, you might want to hear this. This recap of the conversation. Alright, so that other guy, he was really, really autistic.
We'll talk on the way back. Okay, let's get moving.
I might not remember it though. We have to...
We'll start walking now.
I know?
Yeah, he wants to go home.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. Alright, so we'll take him home. Come on, Jose, we're going home. We're going home.
¿No tienes de esas tablas que van como abajo de los colchones? Porque Michelle tiene unas.
We're gonna go home and then come back. If you're still here.
I gotta go.
What? Okay. Alright.
I want you.
Huh?
I want you with long hair and like this.
Alright.
Yeah, yes.
Awesome.
Same, yes.
Go.
And I think that you too. For a little temporary time. One day you're going to be a parent.
Nah.
One
I
day you
don't.
fell in love.
No. No.
And one day, look, the last part. One day,
I don't want the trouble.
the nuts, good.
I don't want
Your wires, very good. If you, one day, you fix your nut inside you.
my childhood. You don't know my childhood.
I don't know, and I don't want to hear.
You don't want to hear?
No, it's personal. It's a personal thing.
You want to?
The only thing is everybody have.
There's nothing about my childhood that makes me not be Christian or
No,
Catholic or...
I don't talk titles. I'm talking about humanity. I don't talk nothing about titles. I don't talk about Christianity or what religion you are. I'm talking about humanity. Personal. You.
So what's your religion?
So you're talking about...
My religion? The word religion, the word is coming from the Latin word. The meaning is union.
So you're your own type of religion? You're independent
No,
of religion?
I'm here. I share a lot of things with Christianity because actually in Geme have more Christianity people.
So you're unique.
So you're talking about the problems with human natures and how people act towards each other.
Yes.
Rather than specifically relating to a god.
Also,
Personal. That one is personal. Yes.
Can you
Personal.
help me explain to him how muscles work and how Cheetos do give you energy?
Cheetos give you energy because they have sugars. And
Before you told me
carbohydrates.
that, it's better if you pay more attention to find a healthy nutrients to you be more healthy now and the future. Because everything you take and put in your system, everything fake, one day the result is very, very horrible.
Define fake.
Fake. No, you feel better.
He
You
means
feel
like
better.
processed food.
You
No, I know what you mean.
feel better. You feel good. I love Cheetos.
You mean like processed food?
I love Cheetos, but I never buy because
Why?
it's damaged. Because the intestine no processing the Cheetos.
They process Cheetos. Your body digests it. It wouldn't be food if you didn't.
No. Okay, process is a way you make food. It's like it's
Of
something
course.
you do that kind of makes it like what you're talking about not being good. That's what we mean when we say processed food.
Process means you
Yes.
just add stuff to it. And
Do you know how to explain that in Spanish? Like
Todo-
the
todo
difference
lo que
between
químico-
processed
mira.
food and natural food.
Oh,
It's
que
just-
es comida procesada y comida natural.
Claro. ¿Qué cosa es la diferencia?
It's still food. You still get it. You still get energy from it.
No, pero una hace daño y
Es-
la
Que todavía
otra
es comida que te da energía.
eso no interesa.
It still
Si
gets
yo me,
broken up.
si yo me meto Red Bull me
You see,
da
this is
energía,
what I was talking
I know,
It
but
says if you drink Red Bull, that'll give you energy.
pero me hace daño.
Wait, Red Bull?
But it's bad for you.
sure.
I mean,
Claro.
well, does it have calories?
Pero
Yeah.
mi
Okay, cool.
punto, try to put all your energy because you're younger, all your energies in the good things.
Okay.
This is your energy. Learn good things. Don't spend time.
Speaking Japanese is one of them.
In this time, in this generation, like I told him, the rich people create a lot of things for distract your mind, for create a lot of distraction, and you don't find more power. Yes.
Do you think water gives you energy?
In some sense,
Water
it
gives
does.
you
It's
oxygen.
only
Water gives you oxygen.
it's only moisture your body. That's all.
So it doesn't.
Like
is that a yes or no?
no dehydration.
So it doesn't give you energy?
No necessary.
All right, good. That's a good answer.
No
It doesn't.
necessary.
It's a.
It's un complement.
It's
a
like I said,
compliment
it doesn't have any
for-
calories.
for-
All
for
right.
life, yes.
I was
Take
just
care.
wondering if you would say yes to that. I was
Take
just curious.
Full your
Bring it
time
home.
and good things.
Okay.
Will
And
do.
good things.
I already do that, at least
Yes.
in my opinion. So.
No, it's okay. It's your age. I explained that part.
Hey. Jose, come on.
We'll find out later. Oh, dude, Alex.
Oh, I need to head home.
Okay. Hey, I really enjoyed talking to you guys.
One more time.
If you want, we could come back sometime.
I'm here Saturday.
Okay.
One more time. Can I get your name?
Mauricio.
Mauricio.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, can I get your name? I forgot.
Omar.
Omar?
Omar.
Okay,
Yes.
I remember.
Nice to meet you. Ask Mauricio if you wanna meet with me one day. I allow to share many things
Okay.
because the few. Later.
Okay, go. Okay.
Ask him.
All right.
And we can talk, we're not here to discuss. I understand you guys have a different beliefs that I do, and that's what makes us humans, right? All right. So we're here to reason, and all I can do is give you my points, give you my reasons, give you and tell you where I get my my knowledge, not my knowledge, but where I get my principles from.
Right.
And then you know, you guys can tell me yours, and who knows, later on maybe you guys can you know, agree with me. If we can if we somehow, you know, if we somehow come to a point where you guys said, you know what, this guy might not be so crazy, you know, maybe this guy might have the truth.
I don't think you're crazy. I just think you're wrong. There's a
Okay,
difference.
a lot of people, a lot of atheists believe that Christians are crazy because they believe
Some
in
are.
such a...
I've met somebody
Oh, yeah.
who is actually like properly crazy.
We believe she's a
But-
cannibal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we believe she's a
I don't think so.
What? You don't believe so?
Well,
Oh,
I
right.
think
Oh, yeah.
she's having hallucinations
Yeah.
of grand
Delusions.
delusions of grand conspiracy.
Bye, Daisy. Vamos, Jorge.
But I don't think you're.
Well, you know what?
rational, clearly.
A lot of people, you know, they the point is this, guys. Okay, we are in a fallen world.
Sure.
This world is crazy enough, right? It's damaging. It's getting worse. Okay, we didn't touch why I don't believe, you know, on gay marriage. You know, I don't why I don't even believe that they fight so much for marriage if it's that important. But that's another subject. We didn't touch the aliens, which is very important. That I would like to show you some proof that why they found heads with, you know, long skulls. You know, it talks in
Reptilian.
well,
Reptilian.
no, not reptilians. They talk about they found skulls that are kind of like extended
yeah.
longer.
They found statues that way, but not skulls.
They found skulls too. There is museums. There is museums that have the big long skulls. You know, the Bible talks about all that. You know, giants in the earth. Bible talks about that too. You know, so you know, he caught me off guard. I really didn't know you guys were coming. I was working.
I told you.
Right.
Well, I know, but you called me today this afternoon. I wasn't prepared.
I told you I was gonna the day that we were starting
about that?
this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
I
but
told
you know,
I
you-
was gonna bring some of my friends and
Right,
talk to you about
right. You said, but
I figured you probably wouldn't be too terribly prepared, so I told Michael, let's not look up a bunch of stuff and just have it ready to bam bam through.
Well, and that's fine. I'm more than glad to touch every single point that you guys
sure.
have. why we don't have time.
Obviously.
You know, I as you can see, I'm coming from work, and I really didn't have more facts written like you did, like you were.
That was one time on the video I watched it. And then
Right.
that was that.
And-
Did you touch on all the points on the video?
No, we
No,
didn't
we
get
only
all
went one
we
point,
got
man.
Only one?
to the first one.
First one.
And then we went on a million tangents from there.
Because if we talk,
He wants to go home.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyways, hit me up on Sunday, Alex.
I will.
Yeah, it was good talking to you guys.
Alex?
All right, man. Your name again?
Wait, was it
Michael.
Saturday or
Michael.
Sunday?
Same as me.
Saturday or Sunday?
No, Saturday. It's got to be Saturday.
Okay,
Sunday,
Saturday.
go to church, man.
Okay.
You should come too.
Do
Okay.
it.
No, thank you.
Michael. Bye, Michael.
Hey, Omar.
Take care. Bye.
All right, guys.
Oh my god, that Omar
So how
guy.
are most of his arguments?
Hold on.
It's
I'll argue with the other guy about
Oh, dude.
I think the fundamental problem.
Wait, I have to tell them about what happened with Omar. Okay. So, holy crap! With Omar, it was like a million times the stupidity.
Would it be okay if I
It was
pick
like-
him up and put him on my shoulders because I'm concerned he's going to jump in front of the car.
Go ahead. Okay. Holy shit!
Michael was dying.
I was so dying in that conversation with Omar.
Good? All right, let's go.
He's like, whoa.
Is it cool up there? All right, what were you saying?
I was about to rip my hair out talking to that Omar guy. He's even dumber than than Paul's wife. You know, the last,
Oh my God.
From the last debate.
Are you sure that's possible?
I'm barely sure it's possible.
Okay.
Around that level, but oh my god. Fucking. He said that Cheetos are.
down?
He said Cheetos are made from foam.
for fast? You want down? Are you sure? All right. Hold on. You ready?
No. Should I just explain this when we get home?
Stay by us, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going.
He said Cheetos are made from foam.
That's not true.
He said all food gives us cancer.
That's not true.
He also said humans invented cancer.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, he said about 85% of all diseases in the world are made by humans.
Yeah, 85% of all diseases in the world, alright? And, okay, so I challenged him to a competition. I said, if you can name more diseases that are made by humans than that aren't, I will believe you, okay? So I challenged him. I let him go first. First one was cancer. I was just like, no, we can't advance with that. We can't advance with that, dude. We increase the likeliness of cancer with our food. Give him up.
All right, let's take a look. He says a lot like, "Oh no, this fact that you have is not true," and that's like, okay, well, he hasn't really proven it. He's just kind of dismissed it. Like anything I said, he just kind of said, "Oh well, it's actually not true."
With the guy we were
So-
talking
In
to,
most
the one
cases,
you
he
were
was
talking
wrong, too.
I'm pretty sure the guy I was talking to, like every single time, he's just like, "Oh, this isn't true. Oh, this isn't true. Oh, this isn't true. All this contradictory evidence. It's not true." So I'm gonna have to go through that with fine-tooth comb and really point out all the points where he's wrong. Because it was impossible to argue any points with him. Because he seems to think that there are absolutely no facts available that contradict his ideas, which I don't think. Obviously, there are things that we understand about the world that contradict our beliefs. However, I don't think they're significant enough to change our beliefs over. They're very minor and subjective. He refused to acknowledge that there were any possible points like that might have existed. Anytime I brought up a point, it was like, oh, well, no, that's wrong, or oh, no, it actually meant this, or oh, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then I also disagreed with his interpretation of the Bible. Remember when we were talking about the firmaments, how it said very clearly that there was a separation. How it said very clearly that there was a separation between the waters of the sky and the waters in the ground, right?
Yeah.
Well, he seemed to have an entirely different interpretation of that. He said that it had to do with the North and the South Pole. Something which they
What
wouldn't
the
have even
fuck?
known about at the time.
Michael, do you know when your sister's gonna get here?
It's probably already there.
I think the fundamental problem with that argument was that
So
I
you're
didn't even
speaking
really
of
think about it at the time,
intention.
is that it comes from the standpoint, you're using that this is stated in here to prove that there's God, and you're saying that it means what you're saying it means because there's a God, and he told it, so it's circular. That's all I had to say. It was a lot of rambling. I need to start cutting in next time, because, oh boy, it was a lot of him talking. It was like, look at all these things that you can't explain. It's like, well, give me time and I can explain them. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, speaking of that, like whenever we try to explain a scientific fact for him and try to prove that something we know is
No,
real,
it's not true, right?
they
That
just
fact doesn't exist.
they don't let us finish the sentence. Just like you didn't let me finish that one.
Yeah.
Let's go tomorrow.
I don't listen to you, though.
What?
Yeah, the other 2 days were
Lucy
like
Skeleton.
a trip, so the school was like shut down for me.
One tiny fragment.
That's what he said. He said one tiny fragment was found from Lucy. Here's what was found from Lucy.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
That's a pretty damn
13,
complete
14,
skeleton, all things considered.
It's pretty much complete.
It's pretty damn close.
Anyway, what was the significance of Lucy? Anyway,
Lucy is the transition fossil for humans.
really?
Yes. Lucy is often considered to be the missing link.
And you can't create anything. That you
Yeah,
can
he
only
says that if we build a chair, we didn't build it. We discovered it. We didn't create the chair. I would argue that we did.
I did not discover the chair.
Hey, Mom, look, there's a chair.
Wait, how would you even know it's a chair?
We have to discover the word. And, no, first we have to discover language,
I need to
and then we have to
respond to
discover
my mom now.
the word chair, and then we have to discover the chair,
When were you going
and then
to
call
tell me
it
the big
call it the
news?
chair.
Education is not made for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah, it's made to make people stupid. Yeah, apparently.
Technology.
The average IQ of human beings has risen so significantly due to education.
Exactly. Also, life expectancy has increased as well, yet humans invented these diseases. Idiot. Anyway, the second thing you mentioned was psychology. Is that a response to that? It helps people. Like the list was things that made.
Okay, what did he mean? What did he elaborate with when he said psychology?
Oh my God. It gets rid of objective morality. I think that's what it. I think that's what his point was.
thing as objective morality.
To him, there is because.
Well, he's wrong. Morality is entirely subjective. We can take a very, very clear example. Anyone that is not mentally handicapped in the that was born and raised in the United States will say that rape is wrong. Right? I think we can agree with that.
No,